Hey guys, welcome. Happy New Year. Red City, host of sports and shorts of sorts. Back at it with these NFL weekly recaps with craziness of the holidays. Didn't exactly get week 16 done, so we're going on 17. Gonna recap the craziness of the week. Christmas games, got playoff implications on the line here. We got blowouts, but let's start with those Christmas games. Christmas Day, it's usually about the NBA sports wise, but the NFL and Netflix, they wanted to flex a bit and have some Christmas games of their own. Not just one, they had two. And the first, big AFC West battle. You had the 14-1 AFC West, the AFC West winning, Kansas City Chiefs inching closer to that number one seed in the AFC. They were on the road to take on the 10-5 Pittsburgh Steelers, who were in a little battle for the AFC North of their own. Steelers started this game off with the ball, but did not have the best start. 3-0. Russell Wilson actually fumbled the ball. Luckily, they got it back. They kicked it away. But when Kansas City got it, Nico Ramigo, I hope I got his name right there. I heard it, but I don't know if I'm saying it right. He brought the ball all the way back in the Pittsburgh territory. He went undrafted out of Fresno State last season. 5'9" return specialist, doing what he can with the time he has on the field. Chiefs would face the fourth and short, but Kareem Hunt, he'd pick up the first down with a run. Mahomes scrambled for a first down. Mahomes finds Xavier Worthy, 7-yard touchdown toss. Did the celebration where he's acting like the Grinch stealing gifts. Okay by the NFL, but when you raise the jersey pointing at the imaginary gun, that's what got him the 15-yard penalty. And it was big because Harrison Butker missed the extra point. So Chiefs only led 6-0. Steelers' next possession, they were moving the chains, but then George Karlaftis sacked Russell Wilson, setting up a third and long, and they'd punt it away again. And the Chiefs, deep in their own end, Patrick Mahomes flipped the ball last second. Samaje Perine, that's what Mahomes does. Picking up the first down there. Mahomes looked deep down the field for Justin Watson. Don't hear his name a bunch on this offense. Big play to get in the Pittsburgh territory. He'd go back to him. Mahomes, elementary Watson, finding him in the end zone for the 11-yard touchdown pass. Butker hit that extra point. It was 13-0 Chiefs in the first quarter. Steelers got it back, and they'd have their best play of the day. Russell, last name Wilson. He chucked the long ball down the sidelines for George Pickens. Pickens made an outrageous 41-yard catch to get into Kansas City territory. Jalen Warren got a big run to get inside the end zone, and then Russell Wilson locked eyes with tight end Pat Freiermuth, and as he released it, Justin Reed popped in front and got the pick in the end zone. A huge red zone interception that really killed Pittsburgh's drive there with no points. After that turnover in the end zone, the Chiefs looked to get their drive going. Mahomes tipped at the line, but Patrick Queen could not snag the interception. So if they had the pick there, that would have been huge. Kansas City punted it away, but as the game shifted into the second quarter, the Steelers were moving the ball, looking pretty effective going down that Chiefs defense. Russell Wilson finding Pickens and Freiermuth, Warren and Najee Harris doing their damage on the ground. Getting inside the 5, Russell Wilson scrambled outside, beating the defenders to the pylon. And that rushing touchdown cut the Chiefs' lead to 13-7. But the Chiefs would answer. They'd go down the field facing 4th and 1. Patrick Mahomes went to Travis Kelce. Huge completion to get into the red zone. Holding penalty, that negated that pickup, though. So the Chiefs, they punted it away. And the Steelers, they'd pick up a few first downs. But we had a punt bowl as everyone was kicking it back and forth. Kansas City started the second half with the ball. They were moving again, getting down the field. But as they got into the red zone, they struggled again. That Steelers defense stepping up. Butker hit a field goal to make it 16-7, a two-possession game. The Steelers looked to respond, and Russell Wilson found Calvin Austin on a big play to get the drive going. Facing another third down, Russell Wilson showed he still got some juice in those legs, scampering for a first down. Screen pass to Warren got the Steelers in the red zone, but then the Chiefs defense would step up. Tershawn Wharton getting the sack on Wilson, forcing a field goal try for them. If not one of the best kickers this season, Chris Boswell, he stepped up, hit a 36-yarder to cut that lead to 16-10. But yeah, you know what the Chiefs do. They don't just sit back. They look to answer. Mahomes finding Hollywood Brown as those two are getting a little more continuity. We know Brown missed the first 14 games of the season with that dislocated shoulder injury. Mahomes finding Kelce as he does to get inside the 30, and the Chiefs reading time as they were doing this, opening up the fourth quarter, first and goal. Mahomes just handed it off to Kareem Hunt, who punched in 2 yards out. Chiefs went for two, but Mahomes was intercepted on a jump ball by Pittsburgh's Corey Trice, even though it's not technically an interception because it's on a two-point try. Regardless, the Chiefs led 22-10 early in the fourth quarter. Steelers again looked to answer, but Wilson was sacked, forcing a second and long, and he tried to make it easier. But after Pat Freiermuth caught the ball to try to pick up some more yards, he'd fumble it with the Chiefs recovering in great field position. And you know they'd look to capitalize on that. Mahomes found Travis Kelce to get inside the 15. Mahomes looked for him again. Kelce caught a 12-yard touchdown pass from Mahomes, and some history with that one. Travis Kelce's 77th touchdown with the Chiefs, putting him one ahead of Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez. And Kelce celebrated the score by throwing it down on the uprights. 15-yard penalty, but great tribute to Tony Gonzalez. That was his former celebration, the former NCAA basketball player. He used to do that when he was playing in the league before they outlawed it. Because, if it's not level, they got to stop the game and make it level. But I like the tribute by Kelce there. And this time, Butker made the longer extra point, and the Chiefs were up 29-10. Loving life. Steelers doing what they could to get in the game, facing a 4th and long. Wilson chucked it deep for George Pickens. Tight coverage, and they couldn't pull in the catch. And that would be it for big plays in this game. Chiefs, 29-10 win in Pittsburgh, clinching that number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. They'll have the bye in the first week of the postseason, where Patrick Mahomes was saying that hopefully that works with him and his wife to have the baby that week. So we'll see what happens there with the timing. But like I said, they're moving to 15-1, lone loss of the season, coming by the hooves of the Bills. Mahomes looked great. I mean, it hasn't been the great statistical year that we've seen from Mahomes, but he went 29 for 38, 320, 3 touchdowns. It's a pretty good week, The running game was non-existent, so Mahomes had to step up, and he did. Steelers took that game away, but like I said, if anyone can make up for it, it's Mahomes. And congrats again to Travis Kelce, new franchise leader in receiving touchdowns for the Chiefs. And he's just 3 behind Priest Holmes for most touchdowns in Chiefs history, running or receiving. So he's chasing them down there. 10-6 Pittsburgh Steelers. This was huge. They were in good shape to compete for that AFC North crown, but this loss sent the Steelers to the TV to see how the Ravens would do in their game. Russell Wilson didn't look his best in this one, but the running backs, they did all right. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, both over 70 yards, and the defense held on as long as they could, but the turnovers against the Chiefs, Mahomes is going to capitalize on those, so big game in Week 18 for Pittsburgh. We'll see what happens with the rest of the games, but they're in the playoffs. It's just that division is kind of up right now. The other Christmas matchup, an AFC matchup with a team that clinched their division, hosting a team that's still in the running. I'm talking about the AFC South division winning 9-6 Houston Texans, hosting the 10-5 Baltimore Ravens, a team trying to usurp the Steelers in that AFC North crown there. On the Ravens' opening drive, Lamar Jackson used those legs to pick up a big play. And then when in Texans territory, Lamar found Zay Flowers, setting them up in good position where Derrick Henry would get a 2-yard touchdown run. Ravens up 7-0 early. Houston would pick up a few first downs, but on third down, C.J. Stroud got sacked by Kyle Van Noy, forcing a Texans punt. After regaining possession, Henry busted out a long run to get in Houston's side of the field, but after some stops, Justin Tucker came out. Hasn't been the best year for the kicker, but he nailed it to put Baltimore up 10-0 in the first quarter. Texans were pretty deep in their own end, but C.J. Stroud would find Mixon for a first down. Then he found Dalton Schultz to move the chains. But again, he dropped back the pass, no one open, tried to evade the rush, but Odafe Owe got him, forcing a sack and another Houston punt. Tommy Townsend did pin them pretty deep. Good coverage on the play to get them inside their own 5. Baltimore had to start the possession in the shadows of their own goalpost. They went to give it to Derrick Henry to try to make some more room. He bounced it outside, but went to his own end zone where Houston's Kamari Lassiter tackled him. Safety on the play. Houston's first 2 points of the board as they trailed 10-2 early in this game. The Ravens, they'd kick it to the Texans following the safety, and Dameon Pierce had a nice return, getting almost near midfield. Stroud found Woods across the middle, getting the Ravens' territory. And then Stroud would find Canadian Ray's John Mechie on the third down. He was a few yards short of the first. Rather than try a field goal, D'Amico Ryans kept his offense on the field to go for it on fourth. Stroud looked like he looked down the field for Robert Woods, but it fell incomplete. They did get bailed out by a pass interference on Baltimore's Marlon Humphrey, setting them up first and goal. But this Ravens defense wasn't breaking here. 3 straight stops, set up 4th and goal. Houston wasn't kicking the field goal earlier, and they weren't doing it now. Stroud threw it in the flat to running back Joe Mixon. He looked like he was going to get to the end zone, but it shot out of a cannon. Ardarius Washington, huge hit, covering him short, touchdown-saving hit that really packed some punch, turning the Texans over on downs on one of their best drives of the day. The Ravens took possession deep in their own end again, but this time Lamar gave it to Henry, and he just went straight. No bouncing on this one. Giving the offense some breathing room. Lamar would then scramble around before lofting it over to tight end Mark Andrews. He used a big stiff arm to shed a defender, and he was rumbling and bumbling down the sideline. You think a tight end is fast until he's isolated alone running down the sidelines with the ball. Houston's Kalen Bullock did not give on the play, chased him down, giving a big hit to stop him inside the 15. But a big play over 60 yards to get the Ravens deep in the Texans' territory. And then just after the 2-minute warning, Lamar Jackson bought some time, as he does, extending the play, patiently waiting for his receivers. He then threw an absolute dart to Isaiah Likely, scoring a touchdown on the 9-yard toss and catch. And Lamar knew it was good when he let it go. He was celebrating before Likely even caught it. Little Steph Curry-esque when he turns around after chucking up the tray. Love to see it. And with that touchdown, the Ravens had a 17-2 lead going into halftime. Pardon me there. Houston, they got the ball to start the second half, and when facing third down, C.J. Stroud looked down the field, but his pass was a little off target. Intercepted by Kyle Hamilton. Big interception that killed the first drive of the quarter. And after that, Derrick Henry would run for a first down, and Lamar Jackson said, "Let me have a go." Finding a lane, and he was gone. No one catching him. 48-yard touchdown run for Lamar Jackson. He can literally do it all. That touchdown put the Ravens up 24-2, not even 100 seconds into the second half. Texans were not doing anything offensively. They'd punt it away after facing another third and long. Ravens would then pick up more yards with Lamar Jackson runs. And then Derrick Henry was getting involved in the passing game, getting down to the 1-yard line. Everyone's like, "Oh, here we go to Derrick Henry." So the Ravens did a play action, and no one covered Mark Andrews alone in the end zone for the 1-yard touchdown toss. Jackson's third touchdown of the day, 2 passing and that one insane run, putting up the score to 31-2 just with under 6 minutes to go in the third. A beatdown of beatdowns on Christmas Day. Not what you expected with these two playoff teams. The Texans, though, they weren't giving up, trying to get some points. Stroud found Nico Collins on a rare third down conversion, getting the Texans inside the 25 of the Ravens. But down as much as they were, they'd face a 4th and 7 and go for it. Stroud bought some time before finding Dario Ogunbowale out of the backfield. He caught the ball near the sticks, but he was short. Another turnover on downs for the Texans as they were getting cool this Christmas. The Ravens, they got possession their own end, and they'd punt, but the Ravens, they'd do what they had to there, kicking it back. Fans considering leaving early to go open gifts. When the Ravens would get the ball back again, Josh Johnson, backups in there. Lamar was on the bench. Keaton Mitchell running back, giving Derrick Henry some time. Don't want to get any injuries there. So Houston got the ball back, and they'd have their backups too, giving the longest neck in the NFL. Davis, don't call me Giraffe Mills. He'd come in to finish the game, but it was ugly. Hopefully you're an NBA fan. You can go back to that. But Ravens went into Houston, and they beat up on the Texans 31-2. Ravens moving to 11-5 on the season. Combine that with the Steelers' loss earlier in the day. The Ravens have full control of the AFC North right now. If they win out, division's there. Lamar Jackson, man, what can you say about Lamar Jackson? He's so good. He's got it all. He's developed from his early days in the NFL, and he's front runner for MVP again. We all know it's going to come down to him and Josh Allen, even though we know Joe Burrow deserves to get some votes there. But the win-loss records are going to be the determinant here. But Lamar Jackson, he's one of the funnest guys to watch in the NFL. He showed off that touchdown run, showed off the rifle arm. One of my favorite players, I imagine, a lot of people's favorite players to watch. The defense played good, too, stifling C.J. Stroud and the Texans' offense. The Ravens, their defense seems to cause that big turnover, get that big sack just when it's needed. Baltimore's won 3 games in a row now, and they're cooking at just the right time. We'll see how the last week of the season goes and who ends up winning the AFC North. But for now, looking like the Ravens are in the front seat for that. And then we go to the Texans, 9-7 now. What is going on, Houston? 2 straight losses. Their third down efficiency against the Ravens. Yikes. C.J. Stroud had too much faith in his escapability in this one. Ate some big sacks. And he seems to play at a more elevated level when Joe Mixon is cooking. But the Ravens held the running back to 26 yards on 9 carries. Hard to be successful when your star back's putting up those numbers. D'Amico Ryans and the Texans need to figure this out soon. They're in the playoffs because they already clinched their mediocre division. But they have the worst record of any division leader in the AFC, and it wouldn't even be in the second place in the AFC West or AFC North. The talent's there. We've seen that this team can do when they're clicking. It's achieving that level again. How can they tap back into that? That's the big question for the coaching staff, including offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. His offense has kind of regressed from last season, and if they continue this play, they're going to be bounced in the wild card round with ease. We go from Christmas to Boxing Day, where an NFC matchup featuring two teams that probably feel they've underperformed a bit this season. The 8-7 Seattle Seahawks going to the last Thursday night football match of the season, needing a win to keep their thin playoff hopes alive. They went to Soldier Field to take on the 4-11 Chicago Bears, a team that had lost 9 games in a row coming in, a losing streak that started with that tough Hail Mary loss to Washington, and they went through a different coach along the way. Interim head coach Thomas Brown still looking for the first win, coming into the game 0-3 after replacing the fired Matt Eberflus. But let's not dive too deep into this game. It was ugly. It was a cold, rainy December night in Chicago, and scoring was hard to come by. For the weather was too crazy. Jason Myers hit a first quarter field goal, putting the Seahawks up 3-0. Second quarter, both teams exchanged field goals in the last 2.5 minutes of the half. Cairo Santos hitting a 42-yarder to tie it up, and then Myers hitting his second field goal of the game, a 50-yarder, 2 minutes later, going up 6-3 going into the break, and that's it, folks. That's literally no other scoring in the game. If you watch this whole game, I feel sorry for you a bit. Luckily, I had to catch up later and even question why I did. Amazon wished they had a good return policy on that matchup, but not the way you want to end the regular season with your last Thursday night game of the year. Seattle had more yards than Chicago, 265 to 179. Each team had a turnover. Seattle lost a fumble. Number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, threw a pick. Williams was running for his life most of the game. Sacked 7 times by the Seahawks. Again, not a game that was very entertaining. You won't see this highlighted on any NFL classics. So with the win, Seattle moves to 9-7. Like I said, keeping those thin playoff dreams alive. They needed some help. We'll get to the Rams game, and then there could be even another game that impacted the Seahawks' chances. But they did their part. I mean, it was ugly, but they did their part. A win's a win, no matter how small. For now, the 4-12 Bears, their losing streak extends to a current league high 10 games. The defense, they battle their heart outs, but the offense, they can't block worth a lick. Great playmakers, but Williams too busy evading pressure. It's tough if you're a Bears fan. I mean, there's a lot of areas to address. You think head coach will be one of them? We'll see which direction the team goes in hiring a new coach. Sorry, Thomas Brown. The small sample size does not look good so far. We'll see what GM Ryan Poles does to address the issue known as the offensive line. You think at some point he'd be on the hot seat. Eberflus didn't go well. A lot of pressure on Poles to bring in the right coach and some more pieces for Caleb Williams. Hopefully something that can block. We went to some Saturday games because, the end of the season, the NFL likes to spread it around, and we had an AFC matchup that reminded us of some classic games. But no, Phillip Rivers or Tom Brady weren't walking through that door. We flash forward to today. These teams are going in completely different directions right now. The 9-6 Los Angeles Chargers went on the road to take on the 3-12 New England Patriots. Chargers coming into the game needing to pick up a win to secure a playoff berth, while the Patriots, they almost upset the Bills last week, and they were hoping to build off that momentum coming into this. Patriots, they didn't get the best start in front of their home crowd. Number 3 overall pick, Drake May, he'd have to leave the game after scrambling and taking a shot to the head. He'd enter the blue tent before going to the locker room for further examining. Chargers got the ball, and Justin Herbert would lead the Chargers down the field, finding pay dirt on a methodical 91-yard touchdown drive. Herbert found Darius Davis on a 23-yard touchdown toss. Some miscommunication in the Patriots secondary led to Davis finding himself wide open in the end zone. Second touchdown of the season for Davis. Back-to-back weeks he's doing that after going 12 games without scoring one. And that touchdown had the Chargers up 7-0 in the first quarter. Patriots' next possession, Drake May, still in the locker room, was replaced by a quarterback, Jacoby Brissett. Brissett, he knows what he's doing. The vet, he started the season as a starter. Despite not throwing a pass since week 8, he came out to do his thing. Possession didn't go well. Quick 3-and-out. Chargers got the ball back. Patriots defense barely getting a breath. And Herbert continued to do what he did on the first drive on this possession, finding receivers, moving the ball down the field. He'd throw a big play on second-round pick out of Georgia, Ladd McConkey. He got the Chargers in the Patriots territory. It was McConkey's 72nd catch of the season, setting a new Chargers rookie record. His 72nd catch put him one ahead of the previous record holder, Keenan Allen, and his 71 catches back in 2013. And the Patriots on the play had Christian Gonzalez get injured. One of their star DBs was ruled out for the game. But despite his absence, the Patriots defense stood tall. forcing the Chargers into a short field goal try. Cameron Dicker, the kicker, nailing the 27-yard chip shot, put the Chargers up 10-0. Patriots fans broke out in cheers as rookie quarterback Drake May returned from the locker room, coming out for the next possession. And he'd scramble, and what happened? He'd slide, and he'd get another shot to the head. Not what you want to see for a guy coming back from concussion investigation there. He'd shake it off. It was a 15-yard penalty, and they'd get the ball rolling. And, the Patriots tried some trickery, tried to have some motion in the back, and little confusion on who this was even going for. Drake May looked like he was tossing it to running back Ramondre Stevenson, and Demario Douglas, the receiver, was coming in motion, and he tried to catch it. Regardless, the ball hit the ground, and LA's Derwin James Jr. recovered it. An optimistic Patriots drive ending with a turnover, and this is something they do. It was the 29th fumble by the Patriots, which leads the NFL, tied with the Cowboys. Not a category you want to be sharing for the lead there. And the Chargers had great field position. They looked to capitalize of it. And the Patriots defense wasn't doing much to stop them on this one. Herbert sharing the ball. No running back Gus Edwards, no problem. Running back J.K. Dobbins picking up yards. Kamani Vidal picking them up. As the Chargers approached the end zone, Justin Herbert found Ladd McConkey on a 6-yard passing play. The rookie showing off that change of direction speed, finding a hole in the end zone, and it was 17-0 Chargers. Patriots got the ball back looking for any points. Drake May scrambling. Then the next play, he'd get the Chargers to jump off sides. And realizing he had a free play, he'd just chuck it for the end zone, hoping for the best. May was crushed as he threw it, but Demario Douglas chased it down and made a wonderful catch, making up for that earlier turnover by securing that touchdown catch. Fantastic play. Patriots, that was their best play of the half, and suddenly the game was 17-7 with 84 seconds left in the first half. Chargers, they weren't content with that score. They went down the field, 4th and 3 inside the Patriots territory. They'd go for it. Gutsy call by Jim Harbaugh, where Justin Herbert found Stone Smart to move the chains. And they just kept driving on the next play, and Ngakoue would pick up a roughing the passer penalty, hitting Herbert a little late, giving the Chargers another 15, putting them at the 20 with 11 seconds left. With no timeouts, they tried another play before Cameron Dicker snuck in a field goal from 38 yards to make it 20-7. I mean, this was a close field goal. Every angle, you couldn't 100% say if it was in or not. Booth Rules and analyst Gene Steratore reminded us that field goal attempts are not reviewable. And the Chargers had that 20-7 lead going into halftime. Chargers, they'd look to add going into that third quarter. Herbert to Ladd McConkey on a 40-yard touchdown pass. Second of the day for the rookie, and the Chargers were up 27-7. The Patriots, they desperately needed to answer on their drive facing 4th down their own territory and being down as much as they were. Gerard Mayo said, let's go for it. Drake May got sacked by Derwin James Jr., who was having a great game, and the Patriots turned it over on down. Chargers looked to take advantage, but they'd have to settle for another Dicker the kicker field goal. This one from 41 yards out. His third of the game made it 30-7. Patriots got some momentum, moving the ball down the field, trying to give the home crowd something to cheer about. Facing a 4th down inside Chargers territory, they'd go for it again. And just like their last 4th down try, Derwin James Jr., another sack, turning the Patriots over on downs again. Things were just not looking good for the Patriots, turning it over again, down 23 with just over 2 minutes to go in the third. Chargers, surprisingly, were still out there throwing the ball with Justin Herbert. They'd move the ball right down the field, getting fans to cover their eyes a bit on Justin Herbert scrambles. J.K. Dobbins would cap it off with a touchdown run, the 9th of the season for him. The Chargers are up 37-7. Patriots fans look stunned. This is a team that almost beat Buffalo last week, and now they're getting their asses whooped. Patriots punted it away again. We see Justin Herbert on the bench. Good call, no risking injury. Taylor Heineke came out to finish the game, moving the ball a little bit, killing some time, but they'd punt it away. And the Patriots, like I said, they were just trying to get anything going. Facing a 4th down, they'd go for it. May completed the pass, but Austin Hooper short of the first down. Another turnover on downs. They were handing turnover like Christmas at the bakery. Whatever fans left in the stadium after that turnover were on their way out. Cameron Dicker adding to his stats. 4th field goal of the game, a 35-yarder to make it 47. A tasty 40-burger. But, the Chargers easily took this one, clinching a playoff spot for the first time since the disastrous collapse they had in 2022, where they were up 27-7 at halftime and lost 31-30 to Jacksonville. But this is not that same Chargers team. Jim Harbaugh's first season back in the NFL after winning a national championship with Michigan. He has the Chargers back in the playoffs. 10-6, punched their ticket to the postseason. This is what Jim Harbaugh does in the NFL. He became the first head coach in the Super Bowl era to lead two teams to the playoffs in his first season after they had a losing record the year prior. That's a mouthful of a stat, but it's kind of remarkable. He did this with San Francisco. He joined that franchise, leaving Stanford, and he did it again with the Chargers this season. So shout out to CBS for that stat. Chargers team, they're rolling at the right time, beating division rival Denver, following it up with this Patriots win. This is how you want to enter the postseason. Justin Herbert looks healthy, knock on wood, and if he can stay upright, this team can do some damage. J.K. Dobbins, great game, but it would be nice if we can get Gus Edwards back. He missed the game with that ankle injury. See if he can come back in time for the playoffs. But we cannot overlook this defense. It's impossible to. They're fucking good. This defense allows the lowest points per game in the league. Defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, the job he's done cannot be overlooked. People always question coordinators making that leap from college to the pros, but he's knocked it out of the park. You could see why Harbaugh wanted Minter to come with him to LA. We go to the Patriots, 3-13. This is bad results, but I mentioned how they battled one of the best teams in the AFC the week prior, almost pulling off that upset, and then they followed up with a 40-7 loss at home. Boy, that's got to be frustrating. The team, the coaching staff, the fans. I mean, the Patriots didn't look too threatening in this game at all. Patriots fans got to be happy with the progression of Drake May. I mean, it looked rough when he had to leave the game, and he didn't have his best game, but I think they got a good one in Drake May. The 6th loss in a row, it helps them for the draft later, but we'll get to that. News came out, Patriots waive veteran pass rusher. I mentioned him earlier, getting a 15-yard penalty, Yannick Ngakoue. So we'll see if anyone picks him up to try to make a Super Bowl push with him. And this brought us to an AFC matchup with lots of playoff implications on the line. With the Chargers thumping the Patriots earlier in the day, we mentioned their ticket was punched. The 9-6 Denver Broncos, they were in position to win and punch their ticket as well, while the 7-8 Cincinnati Bengals, they're trying to keep their slim playoff hopes alive, and in order to achieve that, they'd have to beat the team they were chasing, the very same Denver Broncos. Broncos got the ball to start the game, great 12-yard run by Jaleel McLaughlin to get things going. Number 12 overall pick, Bo Nix, would find fellow rookie, 5th-round pick out of Notre Dame, Audric Estime out of the backfield, another first down. Broncos offense, they looked like they had things going, getting in the Bengals territory. Then when facing 3rd down, Bo Nix found another rookie, Devon Vele, the 7th rounder out of Utah. Big first down to get into the red zone. Then facing 3rd and short, Nix's pass was falling complete. Defense of the Bengals gave up yards, but they stood up with their backs facing their end zone, and they forced a Will Lutz field goal. 30-yarder at Denver, leading 3-0. The Bengals offense got the ball, and they'd play like they had all season, picked up first downs, going in the Bronco territory. On 3rd down pickup, Burrow found Jamar Chase with Patrick Surtain Jr. or the second on him. A big matchup we were watching all game with a battle between two of the very best at their position in the league. The Bengals would face 4th and 1, and instead of kicking the field goal, they'd go for it. Chase Brown trying to run up the middle, and just like his 3rd down attempt, stopped short. Turnover on downs for Cincinnati as Denver's defense stood tall. Broncos had a few negative plays and penalties and forced on a 3rd and long. Nix tried to pick up the first down with his feet, coming up short, kicking it back to the Bengals. Bengals picked up some first downs in the first quarter. Mike Gesicki tried to hurdle a defender, but instead he basically kneed defensive back Riley Moss in the side of the head. He was making a return to the lineup after missing some time with an MCL injury. First game for him since week 12. But despite the shot to the head, he did play in the game, and the Bengals picked up a first down with that reception. They get some help by the Broncos defense with hands to the face penalty, continuing to move the chains. Facing another 3rd down, Burrow would find T. Higgins for the first time in the game. Broken record on this drive, but facing 3rd downs, Burrow would pick him up. Burrow finding Chase Brown out of the backfield to move the chains again. Inside the 10, Burrow looked for Higgins, but there was a flag on Riley Moss for pass interference. At the 1-yard line, Chase Brown would lose a yard. Then on 3rd down, where they were killing it, Burrow threw a pass to Jamar Chase. He had a rare drop. The guy looking for the receiving triple crown doesn't drop it often, but he did there, forcing 4th and goal. And here, instead of taking the points, the Bengals would go for it. From the shotgun, Burrow looked to throw. He had some time, but Broncos' Jonathan Cooper showed off the motor, not giving up on the play, sacking Burrow. Another turnover on downs inside Broncos territory. Instead of going the field goal route and leading 6-3, they trailed 3-0. Again, the Bengals defense bailed this offense out, forcing a 3-and-out by Denver to get the ball back to Burrow. Some reverse role play with the Bengals defense keeping them in the game. Following that punt, Burrow got the ball back with just 5 minutes to go in the first half, and he had a good drive looking for Chase Brown, showing off the track and field skills, doing some hurdling to pick up first downs. Andre Iosevich crossing the middle, getting a big pickup to get in the Denver territory. Burrow would look for Chase again with Surtain on him, and Chase secured the catch to get to the 6-yard line. A few plays later, Burrow found T. Higgins in the end zone, a 2-yard touchdown pass, the first touchdown of the game. The Bengals were up 7-3 with 1:49 left in the first half. Joe Burrow's 40th touchdown pass of the season. Bo Nix looked to get some points for Denver before first half, finding Cortland Sutton for the first catch of the game. They then get to the 45-yard line. Nix would then found Vele to get in Bengals territory, but he followed that up by getting sacked by the Bengals defense. Sack leader Trey Hendrickson split in the sack with Joseph Asai. Denver burnt their last time out, and Bo Nix looked to pick up more yards, but he ran pretty far back trying to evade the defense, only to get sacked by Cedric Johnson. Back-to-back sacks on the half. Bengals leading 7-3 going into the break. Bengals got the ball to start the second half. Burrow passing to Higgins to get the drive started. 26-yard passing play from Burrow to Iosevich. I always mess his name up. Iosevich. Oh my goodness, he's not a basketball player. Anyway, he found him again, making the sweet catch, but just before he went down, it looked like he fumbled, but the call was confirmed. Bengals kept the ball. A few plays later, they had to set up second and short inside the 10. Chase Brown was stuffed short. Orlando Brown Jr. would pick up a false start. Bengals were moved back. It was Brown Jr.'s first game back after missing the last 3 games, and the penalty was huge because Zach Allen would sack Burrow on third down, a loss of 9. It was following the sack, it would be coming together for the teams. A lot of pushing and shoving, a flag thrown. You're like, what's this flag for? But it was illegal contact on the Broncos' Jaquan McMillan. So that gave a first down. The Bengals keeping this brutal but kind of good drive going. And on the next play, Allen got another sack, but just like the one he had in the previous play, this was negated by a penalty. Offsides on Benito, 2 huge defensive penalties that took sacks away from the number 1 sack team. Burrow would then look for he couldn't secure the catch. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. The Bengals had an offensive pass interference penalty, a huge goal line stand for the Broncos that I could barely speak of, and it forced a chip shot for Cade York, filling in for the injured Evan McPherson, who's still battling that groin injury. York's 22-yard kick had Cincinnati up 10-3 with just over 9 minutes to go the third quarter, and the Broncos, they hadn't produced much in some time, and they were really needing to do something. Facing third and short, Broncos offense would do a little sneak for the first down, moving the chains, exhaling a little bit. McLaughlin picked up a first down to get in Cincinnati's side of the field. Broncos faced a third down, and Nix found Mims Jr. in the flat. He picked up the first down. Had the ball knocked out from him by Akeem Davis-Gaither, but it went out of bounds, and the Broncos kept the ball. McLaughlin continuing his powerful running, picking up first down. The offensive line making lanes for him as he reeled off first down after first down. Getting the first and goal, the Bengals had no answer for this running game, and after running it all drive, Bo Nix would throw a jump ball for Cortland Sutton in one-on-one coverage. 6-yard touchdown catch over Bengals rookie out of TCU, 5th-round pick Josh Newton. And suddenly the game was tied up at 10 with just over 3 minutes to go in the third. It was the first Broncos touchdown in 12 quarters, and we had ourselves a game. Bengals started the next possession with Burrow finding Mike Gesicki. Broncos defense made up for it with Zach Allen and Cooper coming together for a sack. But Burrow would find Jamar Chase to make a little more respectable 3rd and 8. And then Burrow, he'd look for Iosevich over the middle, and he'd break away to get to the end zone. I've said his name numerous times. It's killing me. But the big play touchdown was negated as 2 Bengals were in motion. You hate those pre-snap penalties. It led to an illegal shift, a massive penalty taking away a touchdown. But the Bengals didn't hang their head. Joe Burrow would drop back, seeing a lane, scampering 19 yards for a first down to end the third quarter. Bengals were in Denver territory. Jamar Chase picking up another first down. Tillman sacking Burrow to set up a third down, which seemed to be a good thing for Cincinnati on that day. 3rd and 9, Burrow finding Gesicki. He was tackled short of the first down, but instead of going for a field goal, just like they had a few times, they go for it. 4th and 2 with 13 minutes left. Joe Burrow found Chase Brown in the backfield, converting on 4th down for the first time in 3 tries, getting into the red zone. Chase Brown had a run to set up first down. Joe Burrow would throw a pinpoint pass to T. Higgins in the corner of the end zone. Good defense by Riley Moss. Maybe a slight push off by Higgins, but the late hands made a great catch, 12-yard touchdown catch. Higgins' second of the day with a lot of eyes on Jamar Chase. Higgins had some one-on-one coverage, and he was taking advantage of it. 17-10 with 11.5 to go in the fourth. Be the rookie's turn to try and answer. Nix would get the drive going, starting from his own 25-yard line. Going back to that running game, McLaughlin, Estime picking up first downs. After Estime was stuffed on first down, he'd look for Sutton to pick up the first and keep those chains moving. Bo Nix would go play action, have all the time in the world, unleashing a deep ball, which looked amazing to a streaking Marvin Mims. 51-yard touchdown toss. Mims Jr. ran right past the Bengals defenders, and the speedster was able to chase it down and put on the brakes to get his feet in bounds. An amazing throw and catch to tie the game up at 17 with just under 9 to go. And the stat showed that Bo Nix had 67 air yards, the longest completion of the 2024 season, according to NFL Next Gen stats. No questioning Bo Nix's arm strength at all. Defensive struggle in the first half had the Bengals leading 7-3 at halftime. Now we're tied at 17 with both teams looking unstoppable. Joe Burrow got the ball back. First play of the drive, sacked again, 5th of the game. This time Zach Allen again, pulling down Burrow behind the line of scrimmage. Burrow would find Chase to make a third down a little more manageable, and Burrow would throw another clutch dart on third down. A beautiful throw to T. Higgins for the big first down conversion. Very tight window, but he fit it in there. They'd face another third down. Burrow for Higgins again. It looked like Higgins caught the ball and fumbled it after Surtain punched it, with the Broncos recovering. However, the back judge came running in and said incomplete. But before the Bengals could go for it, Sean Payton would challenge, and the play would get overturned. Denver won the challenge, taking over the ball near their own 40-yard line. For Higgins, it was the first fumble since 2021. Not a guy that fumbles it a lot, and not a good time to fumble for him there. Broncos looking to capitalize and take the first lead since 3-0. Facing 3rd and 4, Bo Nix dropped back to throw, and just as he's done many times this season, he evaded the tackle and lunged for the first down, keeping the drive going, getting in the Bengal territory. The Broncos would try a screen pass that lost some yards, setting up another big third down. 3rd and 15 back on their side of the field. They looked like they were going to bring some pressure, the Bengals, but they dropped back. Bo Nix thought he saw something that maybe he didn't. Threw an interception right into the gut of Cincinnati's Jermaine Pratt. Huge interception, giving the Bengals the ball back with 2:30 left. A game that had no turnovers all game suddenly had back-to-back turnovers on consecutive drives, setting the Bengals up at their own 40-yard line with a chance to take the lead and keep those playoff dreams alive. First play of the drive, Burrow rolled out Jamar Chase, 30-yard catch to get inside the Broncos' 30-yard line, going into the 2-minute warning. Chase Brown, his run picked up a few yards, but he went out of bounds. On the second down, Burrow threw an incompletion, and Cincinnati faced a big third down with taking no time off the clock. But like a sunrise each morning, Joe Burrow would pick up a clutch third down, looking for Jamar Chase again. Chase went down right away, staying in bounds, keeping that clock going, Denver having to burn a timeout. Chase Brown went on a nice run, but he'd stop at the 1-yard line, trying to avoid a touchdown so the Bengals could kill more time. But in the process of putting on the brakes, he'd wind up getting his back leg crumpled on. And he couldn't leave the field under his own power, dropping to the field because of the injury. And because of the injury in the last 2 minutes, Cincinnati would have to burn one of their own timeouts, saving Denver their last timeout and causing a little bit of concern for the Bengals with Brown being banged up. The next play, Joe Burrow would just go in for the quarterback sneak. An interesting play call, as Denver didn't even have to burn their last time out, and Chase Brown's injury was really all for nothing. He avoided that touchdown to kill some clock just for the Bengals to score the next play. A very confusing kind of few plays there, and the Bengals led 24-17 with a minute and a half left in the fourth quarter. And remember, the Broncos still had that timeout. Bo Nix was looking for redemption following an interception on his last drive. Started the drive off pretty well. Bo Nix dropped back, side the run, pick up some yards with some feet. And then next play, roll out of the pocket, finding Cortland Sutton picking up a first down. Nix looked for Sutton again across the middle, picking up the first down. Nix found tight end Lucas Kroll on a short throw. Not a good throw because it picked up very little yards, and it killed a lot of clock. And, Denver is trying to hold on to that last time out. After Nix missed Sutton down the sideline, the Broncos were set up with 3rd and 7 with just 21 seconds left. Knicks found running back Javonte Williams out of the backfield. It was not only short of the first down, but inbounds, causing the Broncos to burn that precious last time out. Setting up 4th and 1 from the Bengals' 25-yard line with just 14 seconds to go in the game. Knicks rolled out, and chucked one up to the end zone, a prayer in the double coverage, pulled in by Marvin Mims. It looked like it hit the ground. The ball was bobbling a bit, but it stood. Great catch by Mims Jr. in the end zone. Extra points in, 24-24. Going to overtime. In the extra frame, the Bengals, they got the ball first. Big throw from Burrow to Gesicki. Canadian Chase Brown, unavailable for this because of that injury where he sacrificed his leg to stop short of the end zone. Only for the Bengals to score the next play. Khalil Herbert, he was acquired from the Bears earlier in the season via a trade. He was filling in. Joe Burrow dropped back to throw again, had to scramble, but Cincinnati got the automatic first down because of a defensive illegal contact call. Broncos, Allen, though, sacked Burrow again. Denver's 6 of the day, setting up 3rd and 14. Burrow tried to buy some time, as he has on 3rd down, but Zach Allen again. 3.5 sacks for the big man on the day from Boston College, and the 7th sack by the Broncos defense. You can see why they're number 1 in the league with sacks. Cincinnati had to punt it away, their first of the day coming in overtime. Denver was deep in their own end to start. McLaughlin picked up some yards. Knicks threw to Mims for a short game, setting up 3rd and 6. Knicks had a wide open Troy Franklin down the field, and he missed his college teammate with the deep ball. It would have been huge. That set up 4th down. Broncos kicked it back to the Eagles, who got the ball back near their own 46-yard line. Pretty good field position. Burrow would find Higgins on a quick first down, pick up yards. Burrow went back to Gesicki. They were moving. They got to the 36-yard line. Higgins jumped early, setting up 1st and 15, but he'd make up for it by getting a catch on the next play. They were getting deeper in the Denver territory. Herbert, his first carry of the overtime, 8 yards to get inside the 15. He'd run it one more time, and Cincinnati would let's just win it. Send out Kate York, the 33-yard field goal. Let's keep these playoff dreams going. With the backup kicker, come out, he drilled a kick right off the uprights. Remember, a 33-yarder, a doinking that could potentially kill the Bengals' postseason dreams. Denver got the ball back after a few plays, and Bengals burned timeouts. It was 3rd down, and Bo Nix's pass fell incomplete again. Crazy that the Bengals would get a 3rd chance in overtime. It's only a 10-minute overtime frame. They'd get the ball back. Burrow would find, let's try his name one more time, Iosivit. I'm giving up on it. Across the middle, a big play to get back in the Denver territory. The thing is, I'm going to hear his name after, and it's going to be like, you idiot, Randy. But anyway, his big catch got them back in the Denver territory as they were reaching the 2-minute warning. Herbert going on a physical run to pick up a first down. 2nd down, Burrow would find T. Higgins. Big play down the sideline. A huge throw and catch, getting the Bengals at the 3-yard line. Higgins had to rock the feet to secure the catch, and officials wanted to look at it, but it was a good catch. And the very next play, Burrow went right back to Higgins, 3-yard touchdown toss, walk-off 30-24 win. An outrageous ending to this game that kept the Bengals' playoffs hopes alive, as well as the Dolphins and the Colts. And the Broncos still haven't punched that playoff ticket yet. A crazy game where Burrow extended his streak to 8 games of over 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. We're seeing some of the best quarterback play in the NFL from Joe Burrow here. As I mentioned, the now 8-8 Bengals, they're still alive in the chase for the playoff spot. If they had lost or even tied, they would have been done. So this outrageous win has the Bengals setting up for a crazy last week of the season where they will need help. But considering where they were earlier in the season, it's pretty remarkable they're even in this position. And it's a bummer Joe Burrow won't get included in MVP talk because he's playing, like I said, some of the best football in the NFL. The Bengals winning record is going to impact those votes, but winning is part of the game, I guess. But, man, Joe Burrow, he's killing it out there. And we got to keep our Triple Crown watch going. Cincinnati's Jamar Chase looking to become just the 6th person to achieve that feat in the Super Bowl era. The other 5, Lance Ulworth, Chargers 66, Jerry Rice, and the 49ers 90. Sherling Sharp at the Packers 92 as a tight end. That's crazy. Steve Smith Jr., 05 with the Panthers, and Cooper Kupp just a few years ago with the Rams. That's when a receiver leads the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Right now, Chase leads all 3, 117 catches, 1,612 yards, and 16 touchdowns. And with the Bengals needing a win in Week 18, those numbers could even be going up. Could see some history in Week 18. Broncos now 9-7. Things are getting a little leery. They had a chance to punch their ticket to the postseason, and they come up short. Can't really throw blame around. They battled it out with the Bengals and lost in overtime. I mean, what more can you ask from your rookie quarterback? Nick should be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year, although a DC QB might be in the front runner for that. But the play of this Broncos team all year has been phenomenal. Losing two in a row now, the Chargers and Bengals, it's something that would happen to a lot of teams facing that competition. But now head coach Sean Payton has to get the troops ready for a must-win game in Week 18. Win, they're in. Lose, well, you're going to need a lot of other teams to lose too. So a lot of eyes on the Week 18 matchup with the Broncos and defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. But could be a little controversy in this game. The Chiefs aren't going to be playing for much. They have the number one seed in the AFC locked up, so if they rest players, that could open things up for Denver, and if they do, will the other teams hoping to get that AFC wildcard spot cry boo hiss? We'll see what happens there, but a big loss for the Broncos with an even bigger win for the Bengals. Go to the last Saturday night game, or the last Saturday game. This was an NFC West matchup. They kind of lost some luster when the Cardinals lost the week prior to the Panthers in overtime. That's interesting. So now the 7-8 Arizona Cardinals are hoping to play the spoilers role. They look to finish above 500 this season, while the 9-6 Los Angeles Rams came into the game leading the NFC West, although title wins with Seattle after they won that ugly game against the Bears. The Rams were trying to inch closer to getting that division crown. Both offenses struggled early in the game. Kyler Murray found Marvin Harrison Jr. on a 24-yard passing play. A big play to start the game, but it was a punt fest the rest of the quarter. LA punting it away 3 times, Arizona's 2. Kind of a lull in the Saturday following what we just saw with Cincinnati and Denver. Just some more offensive struggles. The Rams finally got a big play. Stafford, the Cooper Kupp 29-yard passing play to get in the Cardinals' territory. After that, Stafford would throw it away on back-to-back plays because of Cardinal pressure. But on third down, he'd take a big hit, finding Puka Nacua on a play to move the chains. Stafford's next throw was almost intercepted by Garrett Williams, but he dropped the catch. Rams drive continued. The next play, Stafford did a little bit of scampering around there, picking up a first down. In his younger days, he might have made it to the end zone, but he had to slide. But he slid inside the 5, setting the Rams up pretty good. Kieran Williams stuffed after a run. Matthew Stafford, another bad throw. It should have been intercepted again. This time, Budda Baker dropping the pick, setting up 3rd and goal, where Williams would get another chance at it, punching in a 1-yard touchdown, showing off that second effort with the physical run, just breaking the plane. And with 3:23 left in the first half, we'd finally see the game's first points. Rams leading 7-0. Even though the Cardinals had 2 great chances to end that drive with interceptions, they just couldn't hold on to the ball. The Cardinals kicked it right back to the Rams. They were looking for more points. Stafford and Nacua for a first down. It was close to being short, but the play wasn't even reviewed, and the Rams just ran up and ran a play. It was surprising because it looked short. Even Gene Steratore up in the booth was like, WTF, why aren't we looking at that? Next play, Stafford back to Nacua, getting the Cardinals' territory. They'd have to settle for a long field goal where rookie kicker Joshua Cardi nailed a 53-yarder, giving the Rams a 10-0 lead going into halftime. Cardinals started the second half with the ball. Kyler Murray finding tight end Trey McBride with a big 3rd down throw, avoiding starting the second half with a 3-and-out. Facing another 3rd down, Murray would again look to his safety net McBride, again keeping the chains moving. Michael Carter, he was running the ball well for the Cardinals, filling in for running back James Conner. Conner was questionable coming into the game, and after only registering 4 yards on 4 carries, Conner left the game with that injury and would not return. Murray would scramble down the sideline, setting up 1st and goal, where Murray looked for McBride, who had still not caught a touchdown this season. The play was broken up. Murray threw a wide receiver screen for Wilson to pick up a few more yards, setting up 3rd and goal from the 1. Cardinals again looked for McBride, but the pass fell complete, but defensive holding gave the Cardinals a first down, where a few plays later, Murray would throw a screen pass to McBride, following his blockers into the end zone, and it finally happened. Scoring his first touchdown on his 98th catch of the season. Only took him to week 17 to get it. Historic touchdown for the tight end. He passed the record for catches without a touchdown, surpassing Deontay Johnson's mark of 86 a few games ago. At least now McBride can put a touchdown in that column, something Johnson didn't do that season. Cardinals kicker Chad Ryland had his extra point blocked, and the Cardinals trailed 10-6 halfway through the 3rd. Rams looked to respond, but faced a 4th and very short one. Instead of going for it, though, McVay showed some reluctance, punting it away, pinning the Cardinals deep inside their 5. But the Cardinals weren't phased. First down, they'd pick up. We're looking for Marvin Harrison Jr. to get the chains going. Some penalties stalled the drive a bit. Murray looked for MH Jr. again, picking up the first down to get in the Rams' territory, but more Cardinals penalties hurt them. And then they'd finally get into the red zone. They just couldn't punch it in. Another field goal attempt for Chad Ryland, knocking this one through, cutting that Rams lead to 10-9. That earlier block extra point really impacting the game there. The Rams got the ball back, looking at that offense going, getting that running game, picking up a first down to move the chains. Matthew Stafford showed off the improvisation, throwing a pitch to Karen Williams to avoid a negative play. Stafford followed that with a more conventional throw to Whittington to pick up a first down, keeping the chain moving, keeping that clock going. Holding call would take away a first down, get them back on their side of the field for the Rams, but Stafford would get the Cardinals to jump offside, and he'd take advantage of that. Free play. We went deep. Arizona's Jalen Thompson picked up the interception, but it was a free play. It didn't matter. Rams faced third and short, and after getting the snap off, Stafford would throw a quick one to tight end Tyler Higbee. He was running in motion before the snap and had to make a heck of a catch on Stafford's throw. That was a little off target, but he got it. Moving the chains again. Stafford went back to that wide receiver screen. Puka Nacua showing off the speed and physicality to get down on the 8-yard line, setting up first and goal. That Cardinals defense, they played really well in the red zone, stopping the Rams on 3 straight plays, forcing a 25-yard chip shot by Cardi. 6th-round pick out of Stanford would knock it through to increase LA's lead to 13-9 with 6.5 to go in the fourth. Cardinals start their drive from their own 30-yard line. They'd started off well, picking up the first down with the running game. Kyler Murray would then find his 8th receiver on the night, Zay Jones, for an outrageous 19-yard tightrope catch, getting the feet down to secure the catch in Rams territory. On 2nd down, LA's Kobe Turner got a clutch sack on Kyler Murray, forcing 3rd and 17. Cardinals tried a trick play, a little end around, where it looked like Michael Wilson wanted to toss it back to Kyler, but it wasn't there, so he'd scramble 7 yards, setting up 4th and 10. Kyler Murray avoided the blitz, and he rolled out, tossing it deep for Harrison Jr., but instead he'd find another rookie, 3rd-round pick out of Miami, Cameron Kitchens. 4th interception on the season for the rookie, killed that drive. Probably better for Arizona that he intercepted it, because it was basically a short punt rather than a turnover on downs. Cardinals defense, they stepped up again at 3-0 while saving a timeout before the 2-minute warning. Couldn't have planned it any better from their point of view. The punt did bring the clock to the 2-minute warning, but after a commercial, they're like, we're going to add one more second. And they'd use it to get into Rams territory. Getting down to the Rams 41-yard line, Murray would then look from Harrison Jr., picking up 8 yards. He got out of bounds as well to stop the clock. Quick snap, and Michael Carter caught the Rams off guard with a run, getting down to the 20-yard line. Kyler Murray was working those sidelines too, finding McBride in a 7-yard gain, stopping the clock. Arizona went with a Carter run, and then on 3rd down, they go back to Carter, and he'd run for the first down, setting up 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. The Rams called a timeout in case the Cardinals scored, and they'd have to answer. The Rams then brought pressure, and Kyler Murray rifled the ball to Trey McBride. It was pretty close range, but as he rifled it, it hit the tight end's helmet, popped up in the air. LA's Witherspoon dove for the ball, securing the pick. While making the interception, you could see the ball touch the ground, but it did not move. They counted it as an interception. Booth looked at it, agreed with the call. 37 seconds left in the game. Red zone interception from Kyler Murray. You can see how upset Trey McBride was for not securing the catch, but I mean, a fastball that close, it's going to be a tough catch for anyone. That interception, it did pull Witherspoon when he caught it. The momentum pulled him out of the end zone. So the refs gave them the ball just outside the 1-yard line. Dangerous, because they could give up a safety. And the Cardinals still had 2 timeouts, so they'd have to force the Rams into a few quarterback sneaks just so they could get away from their own line, and they'd end the game, getting that much closer to win the NFC West crown with their 10th win of the season. For the Cardinals, that late interception, blocks extra point, really just sums up how their season's been going. With the win, the Rams moved to 10-6 on the season, sitting in great shape to make the playoffs. Their spot could be confirmed with an outcome of a game I'll get to later. So there are probably a few Rams having a viewing party on Sunday to watch that game. Matthew Stafford's numbers weren't great in this one. 17 for 32, 189 yards. No touchdowns. I mean, he didn't throw any picks, which was big, but he did do a lot of overwhelmingly to swing this in his team's favor. Puka Nacua, he had himself a game. 10 catches for 129 yards. So out of Stafford's 189 yards thrown, Nacua caught 129. Little one-dimensional, but that defense, full of youngsters and rookies, held their own against the Cardinals, including that late interception to secure the win. For the 7-9 Cardinals, another tough loss in a season full of them. They looked in good shape to make the postseason a few years ago, But tell me if you've heard this before. An Arizona late season collapse. Losing 5 games late in the season has killed any postseason dreams. Plus, 3 of those losses were against division rivals. I like the look of this team before the season. Even suggested they'd squeak into the playoffs as a wild card, but the late season struggles killed any chances of that. It stunk that James Conner's dealt with these injuries. When he's healthy and running hard, things are just easier for Kyler Murray. This losing season will be their 3rd in a row, and it'll be a tough one to swallow. Marvin Harrison Jr., the 4th overall pick. People are calling him a bust. I think that's a little quick. He hasn't lived up to the hype this season compared to other rookie receivers, but he still had a pretty okay year. Don't write this dude off yet. And maybe it was a little early on the Cardinals making the playoffs. The team should improve, though, and I really hope they stick with Jonathan Gannon. I think he is the right guy for the job, and they really should stick with him. An NFC East matchup that is very two intense fan bases. However, the second meeting of the season for these two teams doesn't have the same excitement to it. The 7-8 Dallas Cowboys were coming in the game already eliminated from playoff contention, rocking backup quarterback Cooper Rush. Although coming in the game, the Cowboys, winners of 2 in a row, 4 of their last 5, dealt another blow when it was announced that star wideout CeeDee Lamb, who has been battling a shoulder injury, was getting shut down for the last 2 seasons of the game. While the 12-3 Philadelphia Eagles, coming off a rare loss the week prior, losing to the Commanders, ending that 10-game winning streak, Philadelphia was hoping to bounce back and pick up a home win that clinched the NFC East. Eagles were also going with their backup quarterback, Kenny Pickett, getting the start for Jalen Hurts, who wouldn't suit up after suffering a concussion in that loss to the Commanders that I alluded to. Cowboys started off the game, started with the ball. Cooper Rush looking for his receiver, but instead finding Eagles C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who saw it coming a mile away, stepping in to make the pick, returning it 69 yards for the touchdown. Huge pick 6 for the Eagles to start the game 7-0 without their offense even touching the ball yet. Cowboys looked to answer, get their groove going after a few plays. They found themselves in the red zone. Facing 3rd down, they looked stopped, but a defensive holding penalty gave them the first down. And with that, Cooper Rush would throw a 4-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Tolbert. Game tied up at 7. With the game tied up, the Philly offense, they'd finally see the ball. And as I mentioned, no Jalen Hurts, so Kenny Pickett was getting the start. On that drive, Pickett rolled out and found tight end Grant Calcaterra on a 34-yard play to get in the Cowboys' territory. Calcaterra was filling in for Dallas Goedert. The starting tight end, was out with injury. After a penalty pushed the Eagles back, Pickett would buy some time before finding Devontae Smith in the end zone. A beautiful 22-yard toss and catch put the Eagles up 14-7. Cowboys trying to answer with some points. Cooper Rush found tight end Jake, don't call me Turd Ferguson, but as the big tight end was looking for more yards, he'd get the ball punched out. After a long time searching through the pile, Philadelphia's Jordan Davis would wind up with it. Not a guy you want to be wrestling with at the bottom of a pile for the ball. The Eagles turned the Cowboys over and got great field position. The Eagles would face a 4th and 1, and even without Hurts, they'd try a tush push. Kenny Pickett did enough to get the first down. Again, 4th and short, and again, they're going to tush push. This time the Cowboys lined offside, so that was an easy first down. But despite the 2 4th down conversions, Cowboys defense still forced the Eagles into a field goal try. Jake Elliott nailing one to put it 17-7 with under 2 minutes to go in the half. Cowboys, they wanted to get some points for halftime, but Cooper Rush's deep ball in the triple coverage was intercepted by C.J. Gardner-Johnson, his second interception of the game. And the Eagles weren't content with the size of their lead going into halftime. Saquon would pick up a big first down. Kenny Pickett would throw a nice deep ball to a wide-open Devontae Smith, who looked to score a touchdown. But the effort of Cowboys' Andrew Booth saved a touchdown. He did not give up on the play and tackled Smith at the 1-yard line. And it looked like Smith might have pulled up a bit there. Meaning, just another example of why you give it full till that whistle or till you score. The Eagles would get the ball at the 1-foot line, trying a tush push, but the Eagles were stopped. So many bodies involved on the play. They tried to review it, but the play stood. So the Eagles had 2 seconds left, no timeouts. They're still going to go the tush push. Little brotherly shove as Kenny Pickett punched it in. A gutsy 1-yard quarterback sneak. And the Eagles, it's 24-7, going into halftime. They started the second half, the Eagles did with the ball, moving the ball very effectively. Kenny Pickett would roll out to throw a dart to A.J. Brown in the end zone. However, a holding penalty negated the play and took the touchdown off the board. And that wasn't it. Pickett took a big hit from Micah Parsons as he released the throw, and he was hurt and had to leave the field. Leaving the third-string quarterback, Tanner McKee, last year's 6th-round pick, coming out to play a snap. He handed off to Barkley, and the next play, a 26-yard Jake Elliott field field goal, increased the lead to 27-7. Philly, all eyes are on Kenny Pickett, wondering, are we going to be on our third string for the rest of the game? After the Cowboys' offense failed to produce anything, they'd punted away, and we noticed Pickett wasn't under center for the Eagles. He had to leave the game with that injury suffered from the Parsons hit. And Tanner McKee, the former Stanford quarterback, gets some time with some NFL action. Although to start the drive, he was just picking up yards, handing it off to Saquon Barkley. McKee almost had a highlight reel touchdown to A.J. Brown as the star wide receiver caught it with one hand, but his foot was out of bounds. But a few plays later, McKee went back to A.J. Brown, and this time the touchdown pass counted. 20-yard touchdown toss from Tanner McKee to A.J. Brown, the first career touchdown throw for McKee, and Philly was running away with it 34-7 in the third quarter. The only negative on that play, A.J. Brown launched the ball into the crowd, and it was McKee's first touchdown ball. You could see everyone's like, oh, what are you doing? But as the Eagles do, they talk to Big Dom. He was able to negotiate with the fan, get the ball back, costing A.J. Brown a game-worn jersey. But kudos for him on getting his quarterback his ball back. And kudos to the fan for being such a good sport about the whole thing. I mean, he did get a jersey out of it. Cowboys had moved into the red zone looking to get some points, but instead they'd fumble with the Eagles recovering, entering another Dallas drive with no points, and during the Eagles' next possession, Saquon Barkley would bust another long run, eclipsing the 2,000-yard rushing plateau, becoming just the 9th player to ever achieve the feat. And it put him in position to aim for Eric Dickerson's rushing record of 2,105 yards, set back in 1984. As the drive continued, Tanner McKee would throw a second career touchdown, looking for Devontae Smith across the middle. Smith caught it and scampered 25 yards to the end zone. Eagles up 41-7. Cowboys had nothing really to cheer about in this game, so they're like, let's try a 61-yard field goal for Brandon Aubrey. It had the leg, but it had the doink. A fitting shot for Dallas' season. Eagles still leading 41-7. As the game went on, frustrations would build up. Following a punt, Philadelphia's Canadian Sidney Brown, Chase Brown's brother, got into it a bit with Cowboys' Jalen Brooks. Brown would end up tossing Cowboys' Tony Pride towards the tunnel. Scuffle ensued, officials throwing flags. Philly's Brown and Dallas's Brooks and Pride were ejected. There wouldn't be a lot more action out of that. The Eagles holding on for the 41-7 blowout victory. A 40-burger dropped in a division game. Big win for the now 13-3 Philadelphia Eagles. The beatdown over the Cowboys clinched the NFC East. However, the Eagles are in the running for the number one seed, aren't in the running for the number one seed anymore in the NFC. Some results later in the day changed that, which we'll get to. So the Eagles are locked into that number 2 seed in the NFC, which is pretty good for an Eagles fan. Division locked up. Now questions about what the Eagles will do in the finale next week against the New York Giants in Week 18. You have to think the Eagles will rest Jalen Hurts another game, giving Kenny Pickett, if he's not hurt, or maybe Tanner McKee the start. And then it comes to Saquon. I mentioned how he became the 9th player to eclipse the 2,000 mark. Barkley currently sits at 2,005 yards, 2 ahead of the first ever 2,000-yard runner, the Juice, O.J. Simpson. He's currently possessing the 8th highest season total ever, and he's only 100 yards behind Dickerson for that 40-year-old record. So do the Eagles risk injury to their potential MVP candidate in search of this record, a record he'd break against the team that let him go? So there's a lot there. And that's one of the most elusive records in the NFL. Like I said, 40 years old. I know we have the extra game now, but if you look at the carries, Saquon's actually carried it less, so we can't go to that argument. But to do it against your old bosses, we've seen the Hard Knock stuff. We've seen the GMs talk about Saquon. It would be kind of, I mean, as a Giants fan, sorry, my buddy Kyle, like this would be tough. But we'll see what the Eagles decide to do here. They don't need to worry about the division. They got that crown, so they're good on that after being 1 year removed. And a little extra tidbit here, if anything, for trivia purposes. I love that shit. The 9 runners who have run for over 2,000 yards, obviously Dickerson in 84, the single-season record. But the other 8, I'll do it in order here. I won't always say the yards, but I'll just go down here. Adrian Peterson, 2012. Jamal Lewis from the Ravens in 2003. Barry Sanders in 97. Derrick Henry, Tennessee in 2020. Terrell Davis with the Broncos in 98 when they won that Super Bowl. Chris Johnson in 2009 with the Titans. 2 Titans on this list. And Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley, and of course the Juice. So there you go, the 9 players who have run for 2,000 yards in NFL history. The now 7-9 Dallas Cowboys, tough spot. They're playing good football coming in, hoping to play some spoilers, but they just got their asses kicked instead. A disappointing season for the Cowboys, and there are not a lot of positives from this game. They can just look forward and try to end their season on a positive note in their finale against division foes Washington. Another division bout, this one between 2 NFC South teams. The 4-11 Carolina Panthers ended their 4-game losing streak, winning a tough home game over the Cardinals in overtime. overtime, ending the Cardinals' playoff dreams along the way. They were hoping to keep that spoiler train going on the road to take on the 8-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs had their 4-game winning streak snapped when they lost a tough one in Dallas. Loss that took them out of the driver's seat for the NFC South crown. Having lost both games to Atlanta this season, Tampa Bay did not own the tiebreaker, and the Falcons led the division coming into Week 17. Sound like a broken record when I always talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their opening drive scoring? Well, that's just what they do. They'd march down the field on Carolina. Baker Mayfield finding tight end Payne Durham on a 31-yard passing play, making the most of his time with starting tight end Cade Otton out for the game. Second consecutive week Otton was missing. He's having a breakout season for Tampa, so hopefully they can get him back soon. But Baker would then cap this drive off, going 3 for 3 on the drive, finding Mike Evans on a 2-yard touchdown toss, taking the early 7-0 lead. Panthers look for a quick response, and that's exactly what they do. Bryce Young going over the would also go perfect on his drive, looking for Adam Thielen twice on the drive, including a 17-yard touchdown pass, and the game was tied at 7, not even halfway through the first quarter. Tampa Bay looked to answer the score with another one. As I mentioned, no Cade Otton, so third-string tight end Devin Culp finding himself more involved too. Came into the game with no catches, and he was getting lots of looks from Baker Mayfield early. The Bucs got to a first-and-goal situation, but the Panthers' defense did not break. 3 consecutive stops forced the Chase McLaughlin field goal. Tampa leading 10-7. Buccaneers got the ball back, went on another impressive drive, but the Panthers defense stood tall again. Another McLaughlin field goal, 34 yards out, Tampa up 13-7. Carolina just could not get much going offensively against this Tampa Bay defense. Tampa got the ball back, went on another drive, all on the shoulders of Bucky Irving, busting off a long run. He'd then get a screen pass and get it down to the 1-yard line. And from there, Baker Mayfield would throw it to Mike Evans. Second touchdown connection between those two, and Tampa was up 20-7. Again, Carolina's offense not doing much, kicking it back to Tampa. Just like Fred Durst, Tampa just kept rolling. Baker Mayfield guiding his team down the field with over a minute to go. Baker found a third-round pick out of Washington, Jalen McMillan. 10-yard touchdown toss, Baker's third of the first half, and the Buccaneers were up 27-7. Up 20 points, Tampa's defense fell asleep a little bit before the first half ended. Needing to close out the half, they inexcusably let Adam Thielen right past the secondary. Bryce Young threw a bomb, perfectly finding Thielen. 40-yard touchdown toss. Second touchdown connection between those two, and Carolina cut the lead to 27-14. Just 21 seconds after Tampa Bay's score. Tampa Bay got a little greedy looking for points. They'd end up killing no time and giving the ball back to Carolina. And in a few plays, Bryce Young set up Eddie Pinheiro for a 53-yard field goal. He wouldn't even come close, though. He's a pretty accurate kicker from short kicks, but for 50-plus, Eddie Pinheiro's not really the most accurate. He missed it wide, and Tampa still led 27-14 going into halftime. In the third quarter, the Bucs were moving the ball on another long, methodical drive, picking up chunk plays. Then Mayfield found Mike Evans on a 34-yard passing play to get in the Panthers' territory. The Buccaneers kept doing their thing when facing third and goal. Mayfield found a very wide open Payne Durham in the end zone. First career touchdown catch for last year's 5th-round pick out of Purdue. 5-yard touchdown throw was the 4th of the day for Baker, and Tampa was leading 34-14. The Panthers still not moving the ball very much, and they were lining up to punt. But all the eyes were on a duck who was on the field, and that must have distracted the Panthers' blocking team, because former first-round pick Joe Tryon-Shoyinka got through and blocked Johnny Hecker's punt. Tampa's J.J. Russell scooped it up, returned it 23 yards for the touchdown, creasing the lead to 41-14. Everybody was giving us duck updates and letting us know the duck was safely removed from the field. The crowd went from chanting Bucky for Bucky Irving to chanting Ducky for a foul friend on the field, but crazy scenes in a blowout game here. Panthers punted it back to the Bucs. This time they weren't distracted by the mallards on the field, but they may as well have been, because Tampa would march right down the field again. Baker Mayfield sensed the blitz, threw a short pass to a wide open Jalen McMillan. He'd scamper into the end zone, 16-yard touchdown catch. Baker's 5th touchdown throw of the game as they were up 48-14. That would be it for the scoring in this beatdown. The Buccaneers, they did what they had to do, stay alive in the NFC playoff race, beating the Panthers 48-14 to move to 9-7. They'd have to wait and see how Atlanta's game would go to see where they stood going in the final week of the season. Baker Mayfield putting up one of his best career seasons, 2nd in passing yards with 4,279, 3rd in touchdowns with 39. 71.8% completion percentage and a quarterback rating of 107.6. However, 2nd in the league with INTs with 15, the only blemish on his wonderful season. For now, the 4-12 Panthers, this game was a step back from their big win last week. There was much more pressure on Bryce Young without his star running back, Sherwood Park, Alberta's Chuba Hubbard, who was shut down for the rest of the season, dealing with calf and knee injuries. His absence was evident. The team only registered 39 rushing yards at Tampa's 202. Raheem Blackshear leading the way with 20 yards on 8 carries. With that kind of production, it's going to be hard to get any offense going. I know they were behind, but they had to give up on that run game early. You got to give credit Bryce Young battling out there looking for Adam Thielen, who had a good game, 5 catches, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. But once Carolina went back behind in this game, you never really felt they were going to come back and win it. An AFC East matchup that probably looked pretty good on paper when the season schedule was made, and they're like, oh, this is going to be a good one late in the year, but the season didn't play out the way that they were hoping for in this case anyway. The 4-11 New York Jets went into Orchard Park, New York to take on the 12-3 Buffalo Bills. The Jets put up a stinkfest in an ugly loss to the Rams the week prior. They were just limping to the end of the season, hoping for any kind of happiness. The Bills were on a 2-game winning streak after losing to the Rams as well, but their win over the New England the week prior was not very convincing and put some concern into the table-diving fans of Buffalo. Buffalo started the game off on an impressive drive, eating up almost half the quarter along the way, picking up first downs. Jets defense would give some defensive penalties to help them move the chains. And the Bills would kept the long drive off with a 1-yard Josh Allen touchdown run, the 65th of his career, tied him with the franchise lead in touchdowns, tying Hall of Fame running back Thurman Thomas, who was a beast if you watch some Thurman Thomas highlights. Jets offense needed something to get them going. Rodgers would use the play action for finding Garrett Wilson on a big play to get into the red zone. However, from there, Rodgers looked to throw and got intercepted by lineman Jordan Phillips. Big man secured the interception and ended another Jets drive with no points. Jets defense was doing pretty well in stopping that potent Bills offense. Bills end up pinning the Jets deep with a nice punt coverage. From deep in their own territory, Aaron Rodgers dropped back to throw. Immediate pressure had him sacked for the safety. Buffalo's A.J. Epinesa making the huge sack as Buffalo increased the lead to 9-2 with 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. After the Jets offense failed to do anything again, the Bills were looking to add more points, get in the field goal range, and on a windy day, Tyler Bass nailed a 39-yard field goal, putting the Bills up 12-0 as the first half expired. Jets had a nice drive to start the second half, moving across the 50-yard line, but they'd face 4th and short, and they'd get a penalty forcing 4th and long, taking any chance of going for it. But they did pin the Bills at their own 1-yard line. The Bills would punt it away, setting the Jets up with pretty decent field position. Then facing 3rd and 19, Aaron Rodgers looked down the field, but he was intercepted by Christian Benford. Benford had a nice return for Buffalo, and he was hit late out of bounds. Who hit him late out of bounds? Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, feeling a little frustration, not having his best night at the office, adding another 15 yards to the interception return, and the Bills were in fantastic field position. Bills looked to take advantage of that great field position. After a few plays, Josh Allen threw a perfect ball to Amari Cooper in the end zone. He put it where only Cooper could get it, and the star wide receiver showed off the jumping ability, going up and getting it. 30-yard touchdown catch. He hit the ground hard, but he held on to it, and he was okay, and the Bills were up 19-0. Jets offense was moving backwards before they had to punt it away again, and the Bills continued to march down the field, setting up a 1st and goal situation where 2 plays later, James Cook punched in a 1-yard touchdown. NFL league leading 15th rushing touchdown, put the Bills up 26-0. Jets got the ball back, and they were just trying to do anything, but it was ugly. Rodgers found Garrett Wilson on a short wide receiver screen, and he got tied up at fumbling the ball, giving it back to Buffalo. Again, great field position, and again, the Bills would capitalize. Josh Allen bought some time rolling out before waiting for his receivers to get open before throwing a jump ball up for rookie Keon Coleman. 2nd-round pick out of Florida State via Michigan State would secure the 14-yard touchdown catch. The rookie's 4th touchdown catch of the season increased Buffalo's lead to 33-0 late in the 3rd quarter. Josh Allen's rollout throw was kind of reminding us of Baltimore's Lamar Jackson's throw he had done in his game. The Bills, after that, they'd bring in the backups, but it wouldn't matter. Backup quarterback Mitchell Trubisky would find Terrell Shavers, undrafted coming out of San Diego State last season. He made his first ever NFL catch and ran it 69 yards to the end zone. First catch, first NFL touchdown, and he was just promoted to the practice squad after the injury to Curtis Samuel being out of the game. Early in the 4th quarter, Buffalo led 40-0, and we had a record-tied moment on that Shavers touchdown. 13th different Buffalo Bill to catch a touchdown this season, tying an NFL record shared with themselves, the Bills in 2020, and as well in the 2016 Atlanta Falcons with Matt Ryan. So we'll see if they can get another guy to catch a ball next week, a different guy to set the record. On the Jets' possession, they'd go to the backups as well, letting Tyrod Taylor get some time at QB. Got a huge ovation from the Bill fans. If you remember, Tyrod Taylor was part of that Bills team, ending nearly a 2-decade playoff drought back in 2017. And with lots of backups on the field, the Jets moved the ball down the field, ending any thoughts of a shutout. Tyrod Taylor would toss a jump ball for Garrett Wilson, who was still in the game, securing a 9-yard touchdown, getting that goose egg off the board. Jets went for two with Taylor finding tight end Conklin. 40-8 with 7 minutes to go. Taylor doing something Rodgers didn't do all game. The Bills weren't really doing much, just hoping to wind the clock down and hope to go home. But the Jets offense, they were trying to make up for some earlier struggles and make the scores respectable. Taylor finding Conklin on a 20-yard touchdown toss. They'd go for it again, but they wouldn't convert, trailing 40-14 after the 2-minute warning. And that's how this game would end. Not a very nice one if you're a Jets fan. Buffalo thumping them 40-14. With the win, Buffalo moved to 13-3 on the season, clinching the number 2 overall seed in the playoffs. So they don't really have much to play for in Week 18 in the finale. They may actually play more backups. And like I said, they may be looking for a 14th different receiver to score a touchdown, which if you were listening earlier would be a new record. For the now 4-12 Jets, just when you're thinking things can get worse, they're down 33-0 after 3 quarters, going down 40-0. Luckily, Tyrod Taylor got some points on the board to avoid the shutout. But Aaron Rodgers looking bad out there. You have to wonder where this team's going next season. They can't be going back with Rodgers. This team is literally limping to the season's end. And they're going to make tons of changes. Everyone seems unhappy with each other. All this information coming about how owner Woody Johnson runs this team, it could be hard to attract coaches and free agents. I mean, goddamn Jets. Very unique interconference matchup here with the 7-8 Indianapolis Colts coming into the game needing a win to stay alive in the AFC playoffs. After the Broncos lost to the Bengals on Saturday, the door was left open slightly ajar for the Colts to sneak in. They were on the road to take on the 2-13 New York Giants. The Giants were in a unique position. They were in possession of the number 1 overall pick for the NFL draft next season. So conflicting feelings for the fan base coming into this one. Excuse me, Joe Flacco, he was getting the start for the Colts as Anthony Richard was out, dealing with some back spasms before the game. Joe was moving the ball pretty effectively with the offense, but Flacco looked deep, overthrowing his receiver and forcing an outrageous interception by Giants Dane Belton. A fantastic catch to get the interception. Giants just punted it away, and the Colts went on another drive where they wouldn't throw an interception, but instead settled for a Matt Gay field goal. 32-yarder put the Colts up 3-0. The Giants had nothing going for them. Then rookie running back Tyrone Tracy Jr., the 5th-round pick out of Purdue via Iowa, ripped off a 40-yard run, easily their best play of the game, getting them the Colts territory. From there, Giants would try a wide receiver screen. Drew Lock finding 6th overall pick out of the draft, Malik Neighbors. First-round pick out of LSU showed why he was drafted so high, catching the ball, outrunning the Jets 31 yards to pay dirt, giving the Giants their first lead of the game 7-3. Colts looked to answer, getting the field goal range, and Matt Gay would try a 54-yarder. This time he'd miss it, keeping the score still 7-3, Giants leading. Giants looked to capitalize off that missed field goal. Drew Lock was rolling, finding Darius Slayton wide open. Slayton showing off the speed, running 32 yards in for the touchdown. This did not look like the Giants we've seen all season, as they had a 14-3 lead over the Colts. As I mentioned, the Colts were needing a win to stay into the playoff hunt. And after the second Giants touchdown, Colts leading tackler Zaire Franklin barking instructions at the defense, trying to get his team going. The old Colts offense moved the ball again, but again, could only get a field goal. Matt Gay hit a 29-yarder to cut it to 14-6. The shouting by Franklin did not seem to help the Colts defense too much. Drew Lock would sky a ball from Malik Neighbors, rookie showing off the jumping ability, getting a 34-yard catch to get the Giants deep in the red zone. Another Neighbors catch set up 3rd and goal from the 1, and from there, the Giants would pick up a tough false start call, moving them back, just gave them a little more room. Drew Lock scrambled around before finding Wan'Dale Robinson. 5-yard touchdown put the Giants up 21-6 with just under 6 to go in the first half. Colts, they look shocked. They need something to go their way before the end of the first half, marching down the field, facing 4th down. 21-6 on 4th and 5. The Colts would go for it rather than kick a field goal. Flacco completing a pass, pick up the first down, set up 1st and goal, a huge pickup. And a few plays later, Jonathan Taylor would run in a touchdown. Colts finally find the end zone, cutting the Giants' lead to a one-possession one, 21-13 going into halftime. Colts kicked it off to the Giants, hoping to ride the momentum of that late first half touchdown. Thing with momentum, though, it can be lost in a second. Matt Gay's kickoff was returnable, and Giants' Emir Smith-Marset would return it 100 yards to pay dirt. Such an exciting return, showing off the Jersey native speed. Special teams score put the Giants up 28-13 just seconds into the third quarter. How would the Colts respond to that? Well, Old Man Joe would lead the Colts down the field. Lots of Jonathan Taylor in the running game. Facing 3rd and 1, the Colts would hand it to Taylor, and he'd bust off a long run. 26-yard touchdown run. The extra point made it a one-possession game again, 28-20. Giants looked to answer, and on 3rd down, Luck found Tracy out of the backfield. He was stopped short. Excuse me. He was stopped short of the first down. The Colts defender who was trying to fire up his team earlier, Franklin, made a big hit to cause Tracy Jr. to fumble. Lucky for the Giants, though, they recovered, but still, the Colts were trying to do their best to get going here. The Colts moved the ball effectively again, Flacco finding Pittman on a 31 passing play to get in the Giants' territory. Colts faced 4th and inches, and they'd go for it. Jonathan Taylor has been running great all day, got stuffed at the line. Huge stop by the Giants. Turnover and down by the Colts gave the Giants the ball, where they'd face a 4th and short in their midfield, and they're like, fuck it, we'll go for it. And they got stopped short, turning the ball over on downs, giving the Colts great field position. Back-to-back turnovers on downs here. The Colts wouldn't capitalize on that, punting it away. And the Giants would kick it right back to Indy. A lot of up and down moments in this game. Flacco would look deep for Pittman. He couldn't grab it, but an offensive PI on Deontay Banks got the Colts in the Giants' territory. Colts would continue the drive, cap it off with Joe Flacco, throwing a perfect jump ball for Alec Pierce. Pierce made the 13-yard touchdown grab, mossing his opponent. Shout out to Hall of Famer Randy Moss, by the way. He's battling cancer right now. Hopefully gets through this battle here. Touchdown put the Colts down at 28-26, and they'd have to go for 2. They tried a tricky play with Flacco tossing into Pittman, who had the perfect hook and ladder set up, except Taylor literally dropped the ball, and the 2-point conversion failed. Indianapolis still trailing 28-26 with just under 11 to go in the 4th. Colts defense needed a stop, but instead the Giants got a big play. Drew Lock threw a short pass to Malik Neighbors. Again, Neighbors showing off why he's such a talented dude, scampering 59 yards down the sideline. Putting the Giants up 35-26. Neighbors, just phenomenal. These LSU receivers, it's crazy. The Colts again look stunned as their playoff hopes seem to just vanish in front of them, but they'd go on a nice drive. Flacco again tossing a bomb to Alec Pierce to get him in the red zone. A few plays later, Flacco to Michael Pittman. 7-yard touchdown to cut the lead to 35-33 with 6.5 to go in the 4th. Colts needed a stop to get the ball back and keep their playoff dreams alive, but the Giants were just picking up first downs, killing clock. Lock for Wan'Dale Robinson, 30-yard play to get in the Colts' 9-yard line, setting up 1st and goal, and then 3rd and goal. The Colts needed that stop, maybe force a field goal. Drew Lock used the play action and had all the time in the world. He'd scramble around a bit before seeing a lane, running it in. Extra point put the Giants up 42-33 with just under 3 to go. Colts need to respond quickly. Joe Flacco looking down the field, intercepted by 3rd-round pick out of Kentucky, Andrew Phillips. First career NFL interception was a big one, and a tough one to swallow if you're a Colts fan. The Giants would eat up little time and force Indy to burn all their timeouts before Graham Gano hit a 30-yard field goal to make it 45-33 for the Giants. This was the first time the Giants eclipsed 40 points in a game since December of 2019. The Colts really needed points in a hurry now. Flacco dropping back to throw, but he was sacked by Kayvon Thibodeau, which also caused a fumble, which was recovered by the Giants' Elijah Garcia, sealing the 45-33 win for the Giants. For the Colts, yikes, this kills their chances of the playoffs. They dropped a 7-9 on the season, missing the playoffs again, and finishing with a losing season. Again, lots of uncertainty with this team throughout the season. If you have X or Twitter, please follow Pat McAfee and see what he had to say about his former team. It's harsh, but it's true. I'd like to see what changes this franchise does going forward. I'm hoping another year will help their franchise quarterback mature. To be fair, Richardson's still only 22. He can grow from this year, but he has a feel for some of the vets on this team. Saw the same shit as years past, just in a different pile. They were hoping to trend upwards, not regress, and miss the playoffs. So the now 3-3 Giants played ultimate spoiler role, eliminating any chance of the Colts making the postseason. Like I said, putting up 40 points for the first time in 5 years, that's got to feel pretty good. But it's kind of bittersweet for the Giants. I mean, they looked awesome on the field, don't get me wrong. Malik Neighbors, 7 balls, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. The rookie really showing out. Drew Lock, 17 for 23, 309 yards,
4 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdowns. That's like that's phenomenal. Those are like Lamar Jackson numbers there. But that win took the Giants out of position for the #1 draft pick next season. The Giants, with their 3-13 record, are tied for worst records in the league. However, because of tiebreakers, the Giants went from the first pick of the draft to now the fourth. I mean, lots of this can change after the final week of the season, but a potential costly win for the franchise. We go to another interconference matchup. This one featured two teams very much out of the playoff picture. Just two teams looking for some positives at the end of the year. 3-12, Las Vegas Raiders went down to the Bayou to take on the 5-10 New Orleans Saints. The Raiders ended their lengthy 10-game losing streak the week prior, beating the Jaguars, while the Saints were on a 2-game losing streak, coming off a disastrous Monday night loss to the Packers. The Saints were skunked 34-0 at Lambeau. Like I said, not a lot to play for this one other than pride and future job employment. The Raiders and Aiden O'Connell looked very impressive on their opening drive. He'd spot Amir Abdullah out of the backfield for a touchdown, but a review showed the running back was just short, setting up first and goal. And that was big because the Saints defense would stop the Raiders 3 straight times and force the Daniel Carlson field goal. So instead of going up 7-0, they were only leading 3-0. The Saints were looking for some points of their own and pulled out some trickery. A cool-looking play like a flea flicker with Spencer Rattler giving the ball up, getting it thrown back to him, and he threw a perfect pass to a wide-open Foster Moreau, who was on his own island there. Tight end catching a 30-yard touchdown, putting the Saints up 7-3. The Raiders got the ball back, looking to answer, with O'Connell finding Terrace Marshall on a 28-yard play to get in the Saints' territory. The Saints defense stood tall again, forcing another Raiders field goal try, Carlson knocking it through to make it 7-6. The Raiders would end up getting the ball back again and look to take the lead. On that drive, Aiden O'Connell fired tight end Brock Bowers, the 13th overall pick out of Georgia, would break the 53-year-old record held by legendary tight end Mike Ditka. Ditka had the record for rookie receiving yards by a tight end with 1,076. And on Sunday, Brock Bowers surpassed that mark, becoming the new leader in receiving yards by a rookie tight end. Soon after, the Raiders got a big play to get them into the red zone, where they were looking for their first touchdown of the game. O'Connell found a wide-open Jacoby Myers on a 3-yard touchdown toss, putting the Raiders up for the second time in the game, 13-7, with under a minute to go in the first half. Saints had a little time to add points. Spencer Rattler would get the Saints in the field goal range, and from there, Blake Grupe hit a 34-yard field goal, cutting the Raiders' lead to 13-10 going into halftime. The Raiders were going on a nice drive in the second half, and they had moved the ball deep in the Saints' territory. However, the Daniel Carlson would have to try a long field goal this time, nailing it from 54 yards no problem, and the Las Vegas Raiders led 16-10. Saints offense stalled, punted it back to Vegas, and Raiders continued to move the ball. Brock Bowers would break more records along the way. After he made his 106th catch, he surpassed rookie record for receptions in a year. The record was set by Puka Nacua a few years ago with the Rams, so that record may not be that safe, though. I mentioned fellow rookie Giants star Malik Neighbors. He's only 4 catches behind Bowers on the season after week 17, so that could be a tight race to watch between those two in week 18. Saints defense, they continued to stand tall, though. Another Daniel Carlson field goal, this time 25 yards, making it a 2-possession game at 19-10. Needing points in the fourth quarter, Spencer Rattler forced the throw, and it was intercepted by Las Vegas' Jack Jones. The Raiders were killing time, but also looking to capitalize off that turnover. Aiden O'Connell throwing an absolute dart to the back of the end zone. Trey Tucker, it's amazing how he made this catch here. A very impressive 18-yard touchdown throw and catch, made it 25-10 for Las Vegas. The Saints were still trying to get some points. Spencer Rattler looking down the middle of the field, except he was intercepted by Thomas Harper. The game-sealing interception was the second of the day for the Raiders, and they're 8th in the last 4 games. The defense really turning it up late. Back-to-back wins for the first time in the Raiders season, securing the 25-10 win. Another good win for the Raiders players, moving the franchise to 4-12 with their second straight win. Aiden O'Connell, he's developing more and more with these extra reps. Could he be the Raiders' future quarterback? Big thing for the Raiders in this game was the rushing game. The Raiders are dead last in team rushing per game, and they ran up 156 yards on the Saints, including 115 on 20 carries by Amir Abdullah. A great game for him. But these positive wins for the players may be coming at a cost. A few weeks ago, the Raiders looked poised to secure the #1 pick in the draft. However, after back-to-back wins, the Raiders are closer to 8th. A huge difference in draft order, and we'll see where they line up for the final week of the season. 5-11 New Orleans Saints. This is a bad loss. Not as bad as the 34 to nothing slacking they received the week prior, but still not very good. There were tons of backups on the field for the Saints, and we got to see more fifth-round pick out of South Carolina via Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler. He made some nice plays, especially with his legs, but this was another rough performance by the Saints in front of their home crowd. It's amazing. They've even got 5 wins this season, but I don't know how much optimism this team has going with some of their contract situations. We had an AFC South matchup with nothing but bragging rights and draft positions on the line. Both teams sitting in the basement of the division with the same record. The 3-12 Tennessee Titans went on the road to take on the 3-12 Jacksonville Jaguars. Two teams looking forward to the end of the season. Jacksonville would open the game with the ball. Mac Jones was still starting at quarterback with franchise quarterback Trevor Lawrence out for the rest of the season. Jones would lead the team on a nice opening drive. They'd have to settle for a field goal, though. Rookie kicker Cam Little knocking through a 48-yard kick to give the Jaguars a 3-0 lead. After the Jaguars had a nice drive and had to punt it, the Titans were looking to get on the board. 2nd and 20, Mason Rudolph looked to force a throw. It was tipped and then intercepted by Devin Lloyd, setting the Jaguars up with nice field position, where Mac Jones would find the 23rd pick out of the NFL draft. Brian Thomas Jr. had a nice gain to get deeper in the Titans' territory. Jones would then find Thomas Jr. again to get the Jags in the 1st and goal. A few plays later, Mac Jones found Parker Washington in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. It was reviewed, but it counted. 2-yard touchdown from Jones to Washington. Jaguars up 10-0. Titans offense, they continued to stall, and Jones continued to look for his star rookie out of LSU. Throwing a deep ball for Brian Thomas Jr., 31-yard passing play. Titans defense, they did enough to force a field goal, though, and the 6th-round pick out of Arkansas, Cam Little, hit a 44-yarder, his second of the day, to put the Jaguars up 13-0 ahead of the 2-minute warning. Titans desperately looking for points to end the half. Mason Rudolph were able to get the Titans in the field goal range, and Matthew Wright would hit a 39-yarder as first half expired, cutting the Jaguars' lead to 13-3 going into the break. The late field goal seemed to spark the Titans. They received the ball to start the second half, and they go on a very impressive drive down the field to open the third. Titans ran plenty of running back Tyjae Spears, who was getting the start for the injured Tony Pollard. He helped get the Titans deep in the Jaguars' territory. Then on a passing play, none of the Jaguars' defense went with tight end Nick Vannett. He'd secure the 8-yard touchdown pass with no one around him, and the Titans trailed 13-10. Jaguars look to get some answers, look to answer with some points. They go on a nice drive with Mac Jones making some nice throws. He then looked for one of the best rookie wide receivers this season. There's a few of them this year. Brian Thomas Jr. pulling the 11-yard touchdown catch. He'd celebrate with the too small celly like they do in the NBA. Jaguars taking the 20-10 lead with 7 minutes to go in the 4th. Titans would go on a drive needing points, settling for another Matthew Wright field goal, 28-yarder. Knocked it through before the 2-minute warning to make it a one-possession game, 20-13. The Jaguars still couldn't kill the game off, though. That Tennessee defense is always fighting. They'd kick it back to the Titans, where they'd move the ball and set themselves up with a chance to tie it late. Facing 4th and 10 from the 26-yard line with 14 seconds left, Rudolph had touchdown machine and Westbrook Akini in the end zone, but at the last second, Jacksonville's Antonio Johnson made a huge play to break up the pass, clinch the Jacksonville win, a huge 20-13 win for the Jaguars, beating divisional foes. The Jaguars with the win moved to 4-12 on the season, ending a 2-game losing streak. The win looks nice and feels nice, but that win got the Jaguars out of that 3-13 group of teams that have them sitting in the 5th spot for the draft. This team has talent, just an inability to win close games, so it probably felt nice for them to get a nice one-possession win. For the 3-13 Tennessee Titans, they're in that group that could potentially get the number 1 pick. They are currently slated right now for the 2nd pick in the draft, but we don't know what's going to happen in Week 18. You'd have to think the Titans will be eyeing up some of the best college quarterbacks and wondering which one will be the best fit for them going forward. The Broncos lost on Saturday. The 7-8 Miami Dolphins still had a chance to make the playoffs. They'd have to win out and get some help, but they'd have to handle their business on the road, going into Cleveland to take on the 3-12 Browns, and they'd have to do it without starting quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. The starting quarterback was dealing with a hip injury, so Tyler Snoop Huntley would get the start for the Miami, while Dorian Thompson-Robinson was getting the start for the Browns. Dolphins, they'd start the game with the ball, but punted away. Cleveland did even less, get punting it back. But the Dolphins picked up a few first downs, setting up 50-yard kicking specialist Jason Sanders, who'd nail a 54-yarder to put the Dolphins up 3-0. The Browns would look to answer, driving down the field, setting up first and goal to start the second quarter. But the Dolphins made 3 straight stops, and Dustin Hopkins would come up for a field goal. We had things tied up at 3. Be an uneventful quarter, with the only points of the half coming as the first half expired, where Jason Sanders would hit a 39-yarder, putting the Dolphins up 6-3 going into the break. Early in the third quarter, we see the game's first touchdown. Dolphins went on a nice drive down the field, getting into the red zone, and from there we'd see Snoop run. Huntley would go on a very exciting 13-yard touchdown run, reaching for the end zone and scoring, putting the Dolphins up 13-3. Wouldn't be a lot going on in the third quarter of this game, minus that Huntley touchdown. In the fourth, the Browns faced fourth and goal, trailing 13-3. DTR threw a dart into the chest of Jerry Jeudy, but he had the ball dislodged by a hard hit by the Dolphins. The pass fell incomplete, and there was a turnover on downs, giving the Dolphins the ball back deep in their own end. Dolphins would go 3 and out and punt it away, and punter Bailey shanked it. Bad punt off the side of the foot that only went out near midfield. Add a Dolphin 5-yard penalty, and the Browns had some pretty good field position. But in typical Browns fashion, they pick up penalties, end up with 4th and 19, and punt it away. Dolphins punted it back to Cleveland, and on 4th down, the Browns would go for it and come up short. Another turnover on downs. Dolphins moving closer to victory, taking possession of the ball at the Cleveland's 21 with just under 4 minutes to go. Dolphins would kill a little time with the short field, with Tyler Huntley finding tight end Jonnu Smith, who dove for the end zone. 7-yard touchdown throw, putting the Dolphins up 20-3. That was Jonnu Smith's 7th touchdown on the season, which ties the Dolphins' tight end record for most in a season. His 7th touchdown tied him with Charles Clay, Anthony Fasano, Keith Jackson. Some classic Dolphin tight end talk there. The Browns would have more chances to try and produce points, but they'd all fall short. Cleveland would follow the Dolphins 20-3. The rough season for the Browns got rougher as they didn't look very threatening at all in this one-sided loss. The defense did its best, but without any offensive help, they eventually get wore down in games. This team, now 3-13, is currently slotted in the 3rd spot for the draft, so that could really help this team next year when they get some healthy body backs. It should be very intriguing to see what happens in the offseason. We have the abundance of question marks of Deshaun Watson, but there's still one more game left in the season, so let's not get too crazy. For the Dolphins, like I said, they needed to win to stay alive, and they won. That win keeps their playoff dreams alive. They moved to 8-8 on the season, looking to finish above 500. Snoop Huntley played pretty good football, sharing the ball with the offense. He made decisions out there with his arms and his legs. If Tua's hip isn't ready to go, Snoop will have to drop it like it's hot. I know he's no Tua Tagovailoa, but he does bring some good positives to the table. The Dolphins would love to have Tua back on the field to try to get a clinching win to sneak into the playoffs, but they need to be careful with their franchise quarterback. In order for the Dolphins to snag that last wildcard spot, they need to win their season finale and have the Broncos lose. Well, I can't wait to see how that last spot gets figured out here. Massive NFC North matchup where it's the first time these two teams met in the regular season, with both teams having at least 11 wins. The 11-4 Green Bay Packers went into Minnesota to take on the 13-2 Vikings. A huge game between these two teams that really don't like each other. The Packers started the game with the ball, and they were picking up first downs, marching down the field. Josh Jacobs getting the ball and going on productive runs, but he'd have the ball punched out on a run by Minnesota's Jerry Tillery. Cameron Bynum would recover the fumble, and the Vikings defense caused a turnover that killed the Packers' opening drive with no points. Knew Cameron Bynum would get the team celebrating in a cool way. It's kind of his thing, as alluded to on Pablo Torre Finds Out, a cool podcast with Pablo Torre. Cameron and his squad lined up for a dance, inspired the song We're All In This Together from the Disney Channel classic High School Musical. The Vikings, after that fancy celebration, will only have to punt it away, but a cool celebration nonetheless. Packers were pinned deep in their own territory and lucky to escape with a near interception. They just get it back to Minnesota, and Minnesota, when the ball would move it very much, trying a very long field goal. Rookie kicker out of Alabama, Will Riker, tried a 57-yarder, but it came up just short. Green Bay taking possession after the long field goal try, moved in the Vikings territory and tried a field goal of their own. This one much shorter, a 22-yarder, which Brandon McManus nailed to put the Packers up 3-0. The Vikings responded by going on an impressive drive in the Green Bay territory. A big play when Sam Darnold found Jalen Naylor in the end zone, a 31-yard touchdown throw and catch, and the Vikings led 7-3. Vikings defense wouldn't allow Jordan Love and the Packers to really do anything. They'd stop Green Bay getting the ball back to the offense, or Will Reichard would try a shorter field goal, a 25-yarder, putting the Vikings up 10-3. And after the Packers failed to do anything again, the Vikings would add some more first half points. Will Reichard hitting a 50-yarder, 6th-round pick, knocked it through, increasing Minnesota's lead to 13-3 going into the break. The Vikings were feeling pretty confident. Starting the first half with the ball, they'd get a nice drive going down the field where Sam Darnold was just looking amazing out there. He'd find Jordan Addison on an 18-yard touchdown toss, second in the game for Darnold, and they were up 20-3. Packers offense still, they just could not do anything against this Vikings defense. They needed a spark. After giving it back to Minnesota, a confident Sam Darnold threw his riskiest pass of the game, and it cost him. Throwing in the double coverage, Green Bay's Carrington Valentine made the pick. Nice return before fumbling it, but lucky for him, the Packers recovered that fumble, setting the offense up in the end zone. The kind of spark the Packers needed. With the short field, Josh Jacobs would cap the drive off with a 2-yard touchdown run. Seventh consecutive game with a rushing touchdown for Josh Jacobs, tying the franchise record held by Hall of Famer Paul Hornung. And that score cut the Vikings lead in half to 20-10 with just over 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Vikings responded just as they have all season, though. Lots of former Packer running back Aaron Jones. Sam Darnold making up for that early interception with some nice throws to Justin Jefferson and Addison. Minnesota capping the drive off with Sam Darnold finding running back Cam Akers out of the backfield. 9-yard touchdown pass and Minnesota leading 27-10. Packers offense hoping for any kind of momentum after their first touchdown, just to have the Vikings shut that shit down and force a punt. Minnesota got in the field goal range for their rookie. But Reichard missed his second of the game, doinking a kick from 43 yards out. 57, you understand that, but a 43, you got to hit that in today's NFL. Packers took possession, and Jordan Love found Bo Melton for a big first down. He then found tight end Tucker Kraft on a big play to get into the red zone. Josh Jacobs would score on the next play, showing a violent stiff arm, but that penalty was taken off. There's a penalty. We couldn't keep that highlight, but the Packers would score a few plays later. Backup running back Emmanuel Wilson running it in for 5 yards. Packers went for 2 with Love finding Romeo Doubs, cutting that Vikings lead to 27-18 with just over 6 to go. Still a 2-possession game, though. Packers defense needed to stop the Vikings. Darnold was hit as he threw, and it looked incomplete, but the refs let the play go on as Green Bay recovered the ball. Expedited review saw, no, this was incomplete, so they overturned it. You got to love those expedited reviews sometimes. We don't need people stopping for everything, and it's nice to let the play continue. Justin Jefferson made a sick one-handed catch for a first down, but a holding penalty took that away, and the Vikings would face third and long, where, Darnold was hit again. He was lucky it wasn't intercepted. The Packers defense did their job, getting the ball back to Jordan Love, where they didn't have an ideal start to the drive, where Love got sacked by Dallas Turner, killing time off the clock, but Love would find Romeo Doubs on a third down to move the chains. Love would look for Romeo again as he'd find him with a completion to get inside the 30. And Love was spreading it around, finding Dontavian Wicks to get inside the 5. And it was weird. Wicks was right next to the sideline, but he didn't step out, and the clock continued to tick. Packers tried running a play to Wilson, in which, in this case, didn't really work too much. It just burnt up time. But then Love would speed things up and find second-year player out, undrafted out of Ole Miss, Malik Heath, for the 3-yard touchdown. Extra pointed the Packers, trailing 27-25 with 2:18 left in the fourth quarter. A huge turnaround in a game that really had no business being as close as it was. 15 unanswered Green Bay points in 4 minutes had this one going down the wire. Packers defense needed one more stop to get the ball back to the offense, while the Vikings were looking to kill off the clock and secure the win. Start the drive, everyone was thinking run, so Sam Darnold play action bootleg, finding fullback C.J. Ham out of the backfield. First down to go in the 2-minute warning. Vikings would run on the next play, losing a yard. Eating a Packers timeout. Darnold would then throw it on second down in traffic. Jefferson, though, he knew he wasn't going to drop that, making the catch, staying in bounds. So we had a third down here, third and short, a potential play of the game. If Green Bay gets the stop, they get the ball back potentially. They had tons of pressure in the face. Green Bay was coming at Darnold, and he lofted it over the defender to running back Cam Akers, who had to slow down. It was not a very good thrown ball, but Akers showed off a shoestring catch. Outrageous, especially considering the circumstances, because that essentially clinched the win. A 27-25 Vikings victory. Huge win at home for Minnesota, sweeping the Packers in the season. A tough loss, but to be fair, it was amazing the Packers were even in that game. This huge win put Minnesota at 14-2 on the season, putting them one win ahead of Detroit before we get to their game on Monday night. But these Vikings, man, Sam Darnold, amazing out there. That minus that one interception, though. 33 for 43, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns. This is a guy written off a few years ago, so he's just really proven all his haters wrong. The running game stalled in this one, and Sam Darnold put the team on his back. 4 different receivers went for at least 68 yards. Justin Jefferson, Jalen Naylor, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, all making big grabs throughout the day. Even after all those great things I said about the offense, the Minnesota defense, it really stood out this game, except for those late points late. But Brian Flores, he's had the clamps on the Packers defense. Guys flying around the field, forcing fumbles, big plays, dancing the high school musical. They do it all. As great as that offense plays, this defense really steps up. And with the win, the Vikings moved to 9-1 this season in one possession games. Head coach Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota has been one of the best at one possession games. 26-9 over that time. For the Packers, my Packers 11-5. This is another tough loss to the Beasts, the NFC North. They just can't beat them. 0-2 against the Lions. They're now 0-2 against the Vikings. Take those teams out of the mix. Packers are 11-1. Packers already have their wild card playoff spot locked down, but this would have been a nice boost for the team. Unfortunately, my Packers want to advance to the Super Bowl. They have to have played at least one of those teams, if not both. So it was a little troubling to see Jordan Love struggle against that Vikings defense. He was running for his life, missing throws, taking sacks. I'll give him credit for not throwing an interception. You have to love the fight in this team for not giving up, and that's one thing you got to love. The good kind of delusional to be successful in this league. Josh Jacobs, he's had a hell of a year, too. He had 17 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown in this game. What a signing he's been from the Raiders. Fifth in the league right now in rushing with 1,285 yards. Second in the league, tied with a few others with 14 rushing touchdowns. Packers love to run the ball, and he's a big reason why. But, man, he needs to hold on to that football. This is the fourth fumble by Jacobs this season, and the third one the Packers have lost. As mentioned, this Packers team loves to rely on the run, and this offense needs to rely on Josh Jacobs holding on to the ball. I feel like garbage, like calling out one of the Packers' best players this season, but that's what the best ones do, stepping out to this stuff. Harping on Jordan Love throwing an interception in 8 consecutive games, but he's cleaned that up. He didn't throw one in this one. The best continue to get better, and I'm hoping the Packers learn from these losses and really will help them out come playoff time. That takes us to the Sunday night game, a matchup with two teams from the NFC hoping to get into the postseason. The 8-7 Atlanta Falcons went in the American capital to take on the 10-5 Washington Commanders. The Falcons were coming into this game in control of their own destiny. If they win their last two games of the season, they take the NFC South crown. Because I mentioned the tiebreaker earlier with the Buccaneers. So any slip-up, though, opens things up for Tampa Bay to take that division again. The Commanders were looking to win the game and clinch a postseason spot for the first time since 2020, and a rare moment with two rookie quarterbacks facing off late in the season with playoff implications on the line. NFL scriptwriters were back at it again with the white vans on that one. The Atlanta Falcons start with the ball. Michael Penix Jr., the 8th overall pick in the draft out of Washington, was getting his second career NFL start after Kirk Cousins and his league-leading interceptions were benched. He did not get off to an ideal start, though. Some miscommunication between him and the receivers led to a pass going right into Washington safety Quan Martin, securing one of the easier interceptions of his career and setting up the Commanders with great field position for their first possession. Commanders took advantage of that turnover, moving down the short field, facing 4th and 2. Electing to go for it, were number 2 overall pick in the draft. Jaden Daniels had to use a different throwing angle, but he found former Falcon, Alameda Zacchaeus, for a 7-yard touchdown, giving the Commanders the early 7-0 lead. Michael Penix Jr. responded in a big way following that earlier interception, making some nice throws, leading his team down the field, and the Falcons were using plenty of Bijan Robinson as well. Once the Falcons got deep in the red zone, they'd go direct step to running back Robinson, who was lined up in the Wildcat, taking the snap, pounding his way into the end zone, tying the game at 7, not even 4.5 minutes after the Commanders score. Each team would punt it away following those touchdowns. Washington would have a nice drive going, marching in the Falcons' territory, but then a penalty forced 1st and 20, and Daniels looked over the middle but was intercepted by Caden Ellis, ending a positive Washington drive with no points and a turnover. Atlanta looked to capitalize off that turnover, a Penix Jr. drive where he was looking for plenty of wide receiver Drake London, more Bijan Robinson in the running game, and after getting into a goal situation, Robinson would take a handoff this time running into the end zone, his second rushing touchdown of the game, and Atlanta led 14-7. Commanders looked to answer, getting a nice run out of Jaden Daniels to start the drive, but some penalties forced a 3rd and 30, and they'd punt it away. Falcons still had time for points, and Penix Jr. looked calm, leading his team down the field. A nice throw to London, nice throw to Darnell Mooney. They'd have to settle for a 39-yard Riley Patterson field goal, taking a 17-7 lead in the halftime. Patterson was still filling in for the injured Younghoe Koo, who's been on IR since aggravating a muscle in his right hip. Not a good injury for a kicker. The Commanders, they get the ball to start the second half. Jaden Daniels fighting tight end Zach Ertz on a big play to get in the Falcons' territory. Daniels would pick up a big third down conversion with his feet to keep the drive going. Commanders would get stopped on their next third down, though, and elect to go for it on fourth rather than kick a field goal. Daniels bootlegged outside and beat the defense at the edge to pick up the first down. And facing another third down, Daniels had some time before finding Zach Ertz in the end zone. A nice touchdown throw, cutting Atlanta's lead to 17-14 after a long, impressive drive to open the third. Falcons looked to answer, but on a Michael Penix Jr. drop back, he had the ball knocked out of his hands. Lucky for the Falcons, they recovered and were able to punt it away. Daniel showed us more magic with his legs, pulling off another big run, and on the same drive, the Commanders faced 4th and 5, where Jaden Daniels threw it short to running back Jeremy McNichols. He caught it short of the sticks, but his second effort and physicality earned him that first down. He got that on his own and really got the crowd fired up. Commanders kept this drive going into a goal situation where on 2nd and goal, Daniels pitched it to Chris Rodriguez Jr. He ran it in for 2 yards, scoring on the play, putting Washington back ahead 21-17 early in the fourth quarter. These running backs all playing excellent with Austin Eckler still out for the year. Atlanta again looked to answer and had a nice drive going, but then on the third down, Penix Jr. got sacked and fumbled again. But lucky again for the Falcons, they recovered their own fumble and were able to punt it away rather than turn it over. Washington had a nice drive going with Daniels to Zacchaeus and more Robinson rushes to get in the red zone. Daniels would then find little used tight end John Bates on a 14-yard play to set up 1st and goal. And that's where the Falcons defense stepped up again, forcing a field goal, 31-yarder by Zane Gonzalez, putting Washington up 24-17 with just 4.5 to go in the fourth. Atlanta, they'd get the ball, and rookie Penix Jr. in his second career start had a potential big moment lined up for him, converting a big third down. He'd face on the drive, finding Drake London to move the sticks, then face an even bigger challenge, 4th and 11. The composure on this rookie's crazy. Michael Penix Jr. would again look for London, finding his receiver on a big 4th down conversion, 31-yard play to get inside the Commanders' 20. A Ray McLeod end-around run got the Falcons inside the 5 to set up 1st and goal. Very next step, the Falcons went to that wildcat formation where Robinson had scored his first touchdown earlier, except in this case, the ball snapped right over Robinson's head. He chased it down and tried to make something of it, but it was a huge loss, setting 2nd and goal from the 22. Atlanta would end up facing 4th and goal from the 13, and with the game on the line, 8th overall pick would throw an absolute strike to tight end Kyle Pitts, 13-yard touchdown. Tons of traffic, but an amazing throw, an amazing catch. Extra point tied things up at 24 with a minute 19 and left in the fourth. Commanders looked to try and regain the lead late, but after throwing it incomplete, they'd kick it back to the Falcons, who'd have 30 seconds on the clock. Falcons had a chance to win this game. Penix Jr. would throw a nice pass to Darnell Mooney, picking up yards to get close to the 50. And then on 3rd down with 7 seconds left, Penix Jr. looked for Mooney again down the field where it fell incomplete, but there was some contact and a flag was thrown. Defensive pass interference on Commanders' Michael Davis. A spot foul, setting the Falcons up with 2 seconds on the clock and a 56-yard field goal try. Remember, Younghoe Koo was injured, so Riley Patterson would come out and try it. And his kick was straight enough, just not long enough. A little too short. And this crazy game was going to overtime with so much on the line. Washington got the ball to start OT, and Jaden Daniels found Zach Ertz to pick up a first down to start overtime. Facing 3rd and 2, we'd again see Daniels use his feet to get around defenders and pick up the first down. 16-yard run. He's so elusive out there. Daniels would then find Rodriguez Jr. out of the backfield, who showed off his hurdling ability. A lot of hurdling this week. This led to the Commanders getting in the 1st and goal. Daniels had a physical run to get him closer to the end zone, but on 3rd and goal, Daniels rifled the ball from short distance to his tight end. Zach Ertz showing off those hands, securing the walk-off touchdown catch in overtime. His second touchdown catch of the day gave the Commanders a 30-24 win. Another close win for the now 11-5 Commanders, a team who's been doing a little bit of it all lately. The Commanders are 7-4 on the season in one-possession games and have won their last 3 games by a combined 10 points. Talk about clutch play with a rookie quarterback. And with that win, Commanders clinched the playoff spot, going to the playoffs for the first time since 2020, looking to get their first playoff win since 2005. The LA Rams, watching at home, they were happy because with the Commanders' win, that clinched the Rams spot in the postseason. It comes down to strength of schedule between the Rams and the Seahawks if they are tied, and the Seahawks and the Rams would have it because of this. So I imagine Sean McVay will send flowers to the Commanders. Dan Quinn just crazy how close the NFC West has been. That's how that division would get decided. But back to the Commanders here. I love Jaden Daniels for this team. He has to be front runner for Offensive Rookie Player of the Year. This whole new Commander culture has changed the entire organization. Daniels at quarterback, Dan Quinn at head coach, offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. It's a rare, great time to be a Washington fan. And with that playoff spot finally locked up, the Commanders can take a sigh of relief. Only brief, though, as they'll have to get ready for the postseason. I don't know who's going to be all out there week 18 against the Cowboys. Tough loss for the now 8-8 Falcons. The joys of a late comeback touchdown to the pains of an overtime loss. And that loss hurts their playoff chances. I mentioned Tampa Bay winning earlier over Carolina. That combined with this Falcons loss is Tampa Bay back in the driver's seat to win the NFC South. You hate to see Michael Penix Jr. lose such a heroic performance, but Falcons fans have to like what they saw. They probably wonder why the coach didn't turn to him sooner. Probably because of how much Kirk is getting paid, but that's a whole different situation. We'll go to another day. Penix Jr. looking for London and Pitts all game. Bijan looking tastier than Dijon out there. Lots of positives, but the loss is a loss. And to see this happen, the postseason might be out of reach for the Falcons now. They got to win next week and hope the Buccaneers lose their last game. All part of the season finale on the NFL. And then this brings us to Monday Night Football, the last Monday Night Football of the regular season. It's not going on in Week 18, so this was it. To wrap it up, you had last year's a rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. The 13-2 NFC leading Detroit Lions were going back to the playoffs. They were going to the West Coast where they were facing the 6-9 San Francisco 49ers, who were not going back to the playoffs. That took some of the hype out of this game. When the schedule was made, it was probably an assumption they'd both be going back. But with the 49ers out of the playoff hunt, so this hurt a bit. They did have a chance to cause some havoc in Detroit's playoff goals. Lions needing a win to keep pace with Minnesota Vikings, who, if you remember, beat my Packers earlier when I was talking about that. So the Lions are in the running for the number one spot in the NFC as well. Getting that bye in the playoffs is huge. So just because one team isn't playing for much doesn't mean the Lions didn't need to win this. They still had a lot to play for. The 49ers started the game with the ball, and they'd go down the field, moving it with ease. Brock Purdy sharing the ball with everyone, and Isaac Guerrero, who was doing the most with his start. The running back, one of the few non-injured running backs on the 49ers. They'd get in the first and goal situation where Juwan Jennings was blocking Lions rookie Terrion Arnold, pushing him deep in the end zone, deep, going into the crowd, like hold him by the throat. Huge scuffle, flags getting thrown. The rest didn't have more flags to throw. They're throwing their hats. After the whole kerfluffle, Brock Purdy would throw it for his rookie wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, and he caught the ball near the goal line. It looked like he was short, but the officials had a gander, and they're like, you know what? That's a touchdown. 3-yard touchdown, Purdy to Pearsall. 49ers up 7-0 early. The Lions looked to answer right away. Jared Goff sharing the ball as well, getting the Lions moving down the field, finding running back Craig Reynolds out of the backfield on a 26-yard passing play. Set up first and goal, and after a few plays, the Lions would do some pre-snap motions. After the snap, Goff handed off to wide receiver Jameson Williams, who got the edge, followed his blockers into the end zone. 3-yard touchdown run, even though it was like a jog by the end. The Lions lined up for the extra point to tie, but Jake Bates' kick was blocked by Jordan Elliott. A great response for the Lions with the touchdown, but the blocked extra point had them trailing 7-6. 49ers offense was continuing to move easy on this Lions injured defense. They'd march right down the field. Purdy continuing to share the wealth. San Fran capping their drive off with a nice misdirection play before Brock Purdy threw a short pass to Kyle Juszczyk. He'd barely break the plan, and he went backwards into the end zone. Well-designed play for the 9-yard touchdown, putting the 49ers up 14-6. Drive 70 yards in 3 minutes and 49 seconds. And after those two first drives, Brock Purdy, 7 for 7, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 different receivers on those 7 completions. The Lions got the ball back looking to respond, facing a third down where Goff found tight end Sam Laporta to move the chains. After that, Jahmyr Gibbs would bust a big run down the middle to get in the 49ers territory. Then we'd see a nice battle going on between one of the best tackles in the league, Detroit's Sewell, and San Francisco's Nick Bosa on the end rush. We'd see a good battle where Jared Goff was sacked by Bosa, but after the sack, Bosa and his teammate D. Winters were both shaken up. Winters looked all right, but Bosa had to go to the blue tent. On the replay, it showed when he sacked Goff, his teammate kind of collided with his helmet, compressing his neck a bit. Tough look for a guy who's been battling through injuries all season. That sack set up 2nd and 24, where Gibbs would get half of it back. And then on 3rd and 12, the Lions would get their bread and butter. The old hook and ladder. Goff threw a dart to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and just as he caught it, lateraled it to Jameson Williams, who showed off that lightning speed, sprinting down the sideline, getting a huge block by wide receiver Tim Patrick along the way to get a 41-yard touchdown, cutting the 49ers lead to 14-13. And Goff, much like Purdy, was perfect, 6 for 6, 89 yards and a touchdown. 49ers got the ball back, and that offense just doing its thing. First passing for a first down, Isaac Guerrero running for a first down. The Lions made a few plays to force 3rd down, but then Brock Purdy had lots of time and found wide open rookie Pearsall, the 31st overall pick out of Florida via Arizona State. 40-yard play to set up 1st and goal. 2nd and goal, Purdy dropped back to throw. Didn't see anybody, so he run down the lane using the pump fake, even after he crossed the line of scrimmage, to just get enough time to get in the end zone. A 9-yard rushing touchdown, and the 49ers up 21-13 in a game where you wondered if either defense would get a stop. And Purdy was still perfect after that 3rd drive. 9 for 9, 131 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus that rushing touchdown. Lions looked to respond as well. Gibbs' run was stopped short, but Gibbs would catch ball in the backfield on the next play, picking up a first down to get near midfield. And then we'd see Goff's first incomplete pass of the game. He was 7 for 7 for 108 yards before he went out for a short pass, and the ball just kind of slipped out of his hands. But that didn't slow the Lions down. They continued to pick up first downs, and we'd see a good sign for the 49ers. Despite them giving up yards on the drive, Nick Bosa returned to the game. He was checked for a concussion, but was cleared to get back on the field. Lions would get into the red zone, and the clock would reach 2-minute warning. After 2 nice defensive plays, Kyle Shanahan would burn a timeout as the Lions faced 3rd down. The 49ers stopped them again, and you knew Dan Campbell would go for it. On the 8-yard line, the Lions faced 4th and 3. Goff dropped back, looked for Laporta in the end zone. Just before it got in his hand, the ball was knocked out by Renardo Green. Huge 4th down stop by the 2nd-round pick out of Florida State, ending that drive with no points, and the 49ers still led 21-13. First big defensive play of the game. 49ers weren't content going to halftime with that score the way it was. Purdy found Guerrero over the backfield on a huge 40-yard play to get near midfield. Purdy found Pearsall again to pick up a first down, get in the Lions' territory. Purdy hit Kittle on a huge play to get even deeper, but an offensive pass interference took that play away. Penalty pushed the 49ers out of field goal range, but Purdy found Kittle to get back in there, where Jake Moody, he was kind of having a rough season, and it kind of got worse. His 51-yard attempt would miss. Beautiful drive that ended with no points, and a bit of a gut punch for 49ers team that's taken its share this season. They still did lead 21-13 going into halftime, but the Lions would start the second half with the ball, and this offense was trying to find its way back in the end zone. Goff finding Amon-Ra St. Brown to get near the 50, and then when facing 3rd down, Goff found Jameson Williams across the middle. Huge play, picking up the first down to get deeper in the 49ers territory. Then facing another 3rd down, Goff would look for Allen Robinson down the sideline, a 21-yard catch for him, only his 3rd on the season, and a big play to set up 1st and goal. 49ers would force another 3rd down where the Lions would convert again. This time Goff to Laporta in the end zone, and no one was there to break it up this time. 6-yard touchdown toss and catch, and the Lions would elect to go for 2. Goff would find Tim Patrick in the end zone, tying the game up at 21, just 5 minutes into the second half. 49ers would get the ball with their turn to try and add some points in the shootout, and they'd do what they'd have done all night. Brock Purdy used the play action before finding Ricky Pearson on another big play to get in the Lions' territory. On the next play, Purdy hit George Kittle for a big play over 20 yards to get inside the 5. On 2nd and goal, Deebo Samuel was in motion. Caught a little flip from Purdy, which is considered a pass technically, and Deebo would find the edge, scoring on the 5-yard touchdown pass. Brock Purdy's 4th touchdown pass of the game, and San Francisco is back in front, up 28-21, needing less than 2.5 minutes to respond with a touchdown of their own. The Lions got the ball back looking to answer, and Jahmyr Gibbs picked up 9 yards on the first play. Then he'd go in the pass blocking mode, taking on a huge block on a blitzing Malik Mustafa, giving Jared Goff enough time to find Laporta down the field on a big play, getting deep into San Francisco territory again. Just for the red zone, the 49ers forced the Lions into a 3rd and short, and on 3rd down, Goff went to drop back, where Nick Bosa threw away his blocker before chasing down Goff for a big sack. Sack was a huge loss, setting up Lions kicker Jake Bates to try a 57-yard field goal. The excellent kicker knocked it right through. The first field goal of the game by either team cut the 49ers lead to 28-24 with 4.5 to go on the 3rd. 49ers got the ball back on their first play of the drive. Brock Purdy looked deep for Kittle. Brian Branch took him out on right, leading the flags, getting tossed from every direction. The ball was intercepted, but the turnover was obviously negated by the pass interference penalty. So the 49ers were near midfield. However, on the next play, Purdy would throw an interception for real. Kirby Joseph snagged his eighth interception of the season. Probably Purdy's worst throw of the game, was high over the middle, and it came at a bad time as the ball went right into the waiting arms of Joseph. One of the easier interceptions of his career, setting the Lions up with great field position just inside the 49ers territory. Lions would pick up another first down. They get deeper into San Francisco's end. Goff would then find Amon-Ra St. Brown to get down to the 6, setting up first and goal where the 49ers would stop the Lions on 3 straight plays, setting up fourth and goal. Rather than kick the field goal, Dan Campbell kept his offense out there, and Goff would throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who easily got in the end zone with a pivot route, an easy pitch and catch. Not much resistance on that. And that 4-yard touchdown put the Lions up 31-28. Their first lead of the game, coming with 19 seconds left in the third quarter. 49ers got the ball back, looking to respond, trailing for the first time. Purdy looked to make up for that interception, throwing a perfect pass down the field for George Kittle. Huge play to get into the Lions territory. 49ers would then try a trick play, getting the ball to Ricky Pearsall. He looked down the field to throw, didn't see anybody, and actually threw it away. Usually you see people force throws there, but a smart play by the receiver. On third down, the Lions, of course, brought the blitz, forcing a quick Purdy throw, little behind Juwan Jennings, leading to Amik Robertson breaking it up, forcing a 58-yard field goal attempt for Moody. That's a long one for a guy that's been struggling, and he'd missed this one too. Back-to-back missed 50-plus yard field goals for the 49ers. Lions still leading 31-28 with 13 and a half minutes to go in the fourth. Lions getting pretty good, decent field position after that long missed field goal as well. Lions drive started with a play to Gibbs that looked like it was going to lose 10 yards, but Sonic doing what he had to do to pick up 3 yards on the play. Goff even throwing a block on that. Lions would face another third and short, and the 49ers would get a stop, forcing a fourth and short. But, Dan Campbell, he likes to roll with it. They go for it again, where Goff found Sam Laporta, needing 3, picking up 19, getting to the 49ers' 26-yard line. 49ers forced a third down, and on third down, Jameson Williams slipped coming out of the route as Goff threw it. Incompletion led to a fourth down, and the Lions surprisingly sent out the kicking unit. Jake Bates nailing a 42-yarder to put the Lions up 34-28 with 10 and a half minutes to go. It's a very interesting video of the Lions kicker laying on an alleged tennis ball as he stares into the camera like he's posing for a creepy Sears Christmas shoot. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It's like a car crash. You don't really want to watch, but you can't really look away. 49ers got the ball back, still a one-possession game, but they would not start the drive off the way they wanted. Brock Purdy dropped back the throw, getting sacked by Miles Adam. That was his first sack of the season for the defensive end who played at Rice and went undrafted in 2020. That set the 49ers up for second and long, where Purdy would find Pearsall to set up third and manageable. Then on third down, Purdy would again go to Pearsall, picking up the clutch grab to move the chains. And Purdy would use the play action before finding Kittle on a big play down the field. But an ineligible receiver down the field penalty negated that play, where the 49ers were pushed back. And on the next play, Brian Branch gave a push to Juwan Jennings, giving a 15-yard penalty, giving the 49ers a first down. So they're like, all right, we're rolling. But then Brock Purdy's pass over the middle was undercut by Kirby Joseph. Second interception for Joseph on the game, and the 9th on the season. A huge defensive play ending an up-and-down 49ers drive. The Lions would look to kill some time off the clock, trying to end the game with the offense. Go on look for Jameson Williams to pick up an easy first down, and then after some more time-eating plays, the Lions faced third down. They'd try misdirection run, and Jahmyr Gibbs would scamper 30 yards to the pay dirt. Jake Bates would miss this extra point left. The second missed extra point by Bates. Maybe he wasn't laying on a ball long enough before this one, but the Lions led 40-28 with just under 3 to go. 49ers Deebo Samuel took the kickoff. He'd fumble it. 49ers Bethune picked the ball up and ran it to the end zone, but the officials blew it dead, saying he was down by contact. The quick replay showed it was closer than what the officials thought, but it didn't matter. The 49ers would have to start their drive near their own 30-yard line. Purdy would find Pearsall on a nice play for the first down, as he had done most of the night. Then the 49ers followed that up by getting sacked by Brian Branch, his first sack of the season, making up for that earlier 15-yard penalty. That got him an earful from defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn on the bench. After that sack, Purdy would have to leave the game, getting replaced by Pasternaut Joshua Dobbs. He'd come in and throw a nice ball to Jennings to set up 3rd and short. Simultaneously, Purdy was on the sideline trying to throw a ball, but he was struggling to even hold it. He was definitely not going back in the game, and this was all after throwing a career high in passing yards. Dobbs was doing his thing out there, getting the 49ers into a 1st and goal situation with under a minute to go in the 4th. Then on 2nd down, Dobbs would sprint for the end zone, scoring on the 7-yard touchdown, keeping the 49ers alive in the game. And then 49ers kicker Jake Moody's nightmare continued as he missed the extra point, his first extra point of the season, to go along with his 2 earlier missed field goals of the game. A rough day at the office. Jake Moody, 10 missed kicks on the season now, and the Lions trailed 40-34 with 43 seconds left. The 49ers needed an onside kick, and it looked like Jake Moody just didn't give a fuck anymore, blasting the kick out of bounds. The Lions would run the clock out and hold on to the 40-34 win. 23rd straight game, the Lions won a game when they'd enter the 4th quarter with a lead. And some history in this game as well. The first time since 1937 that the team scored 10 touchdowns combined and 0 punts. So now the 6-10 49ers, another brutal loss. They were really rolling in this game. You thought maybe they'd knock down the Lions a bit, but those costly Brock Purdy interceptions really killed them. You almost need to play turnover-free ball to beat the Lions, and Purdy couldn't do that. Shame, because he didn't have a lot of bad throws, and the loss is even tougher for them because Brock Purdy could be out next week. I mentioned his career game he was having. The late injury didn't look good. They said it was a nerve issue in his elbow. He'll undergo further testing, so I don't know if he's even going to play the last game of the week with the season already being lost. There were already guys that are injured and banged up out there trying to play. You got to give them credit for that, but we'll see who's even available in Week 18. They're literally limping to the finish line. And as Troy Aikman mentioned in the broadcast, this 49ers team is boom or bust with Kyle Shanahan. They're either missing the playoffs as they are this year, or they're going to the NFC Championship game. 4 times he's got them to the championship game, and it'll be 4 years, including this season, that they've missed the playoffs. So yeah, boom or bust for sure. Detroit Lions moved to 14-2 on the season, tied with the Minnesota Vikings for best in the NFC North. Their beat-up defense still looks suspect, giving up the number of yards they do. They let most teams back in the game, but this offense is so damn flammable. People are scared to light a match near them. You can go down the list of stars, and they all show out. The dominant running and catching out of the backfield of Sonic, Jahmyr Gibbs. The dynamic receiving core with a duo of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, super tight end Sam Laporta. We even saw a rare Allen Robinson reception. Tim Patrick didn't catch a pass. I mean, he caught the 2-point conversion, but that doesn't show up as a catch. But he was involved in tons of plays, including that downfield block that helped the hook and ladder play score. A real asset to this offense when he's not even catching the ball. The broadcast booth was nailing it on the head. The Lions have no egos. That real team mentality is real. And I cannot wait for that Week 18 showdown between the Lions and the Vikings. So much on the line in that game. The winner gets the number 1 seed in the NFC and a bye, while the loser drops to the wild card as a 5th seed. A 5th seeded 14-win team. It's madness. But there you have it. Week 17 in the books. Crazy-ass games. Ugly-ass blowouts, but that's kind of the end of the season in the nutshell. With the conclusion of Week 17, that means there can be only one week, that is. Week 18 next week has all the time slots lined up now. 2 games on Saturday, and the rest are Sunday. No Thursday, no Monday, just a plethora of games on the weekend. And in the AFC and the NFC North, it's still up for grabs. The Ravens and Steelers, they'll be battling it out. The AFC, there's only one card. They won't be battling out against each other. The Ravens will need to win, and they win the division. The Steelers will need a Ravens loss and a Steelers win. Had to clarify that. Those games will be Saturday, but I'll get more to the schedule when I do a quick preview show before the weekend. In the AFC, like I said earlier, there's one wild card spot left. The Broncos controlling their own destiny, but if they lose, that opens the door for the Dolphins or Bengals to sneak in there. The way for the Bengals to win, they'd need the Dolphins and the Broncos to lose. While the Dolphins just need the Broncos to lose, they could give 2 fucks about the Bengals. In the NFC, there's only one playoff spot left. The NFC South is still up for grabs. And unlike the AFC North battle, only one of these NFC teams will make the playoffs. The division winners getting that automatic berth. The Buccaneers controlling their own destiny. Win, you're in. Falcons, they need to win and hope for a Bucs loss. So talk about ending the season with a bang. I can't wait to do that preview show. That'll be coming out probably Friday. But keep tuned for that. We got through this one. It's a long one, but it's with Week 17. There's a lot of shit to go over. Glad we got it done. Happy New Year. Hope we're all having a good time. Ren City out.